light needs to be turned away from us or something. Okay.
Okay, we're live. Good evening and welcome back to the I give up with you, Joe. Good evening and welcome back to the Not So Perfect Bigfoot Show. Tonight we have Pat and Joe. And before we start with Pat and Joe, if you missed it this week, I placed Pat's story up on our YouTube channel, The Steel Magnolia. It was a title very well earned. She tells her story, and it was a very beautiful and touching story. We also posted Joe's story, Joe Parker, just a boy from Louisiana. And I think I titled that right. And if you see me going in and out, the monitor's going out, we decided to run with it anyway. Before we get started, what I do want to say to everyone, if you have a story or you want to tell your story, if you know someone that has a good story behind the story, just email me at a Not So Perfect Bigfoot Show, nspbigfoot@gmail.com, nspbigfoot@gmail.com. Pat and Joe, you guys are hilarious, and you
Thank you.
both just have a wonderful story. Western Ohio says, "Are you cloaking again?" Yes, sir, I am. So you guys actually met through the Lady in the Woods YouTube channel.
Yes.
Let's go into that. Joe, you're looking so innocent over there, Joe. So, so you guys are going to see me go in and out. If it gets too bad, I'll just go to Avatar. So, you guys actually met in the chat room, and we always talk about how negative the community can be sometimes, but this is a positive on the community. You guys went to a expedition, right?
Just an outing. This particular one was just an outing.
Small camp out.
Small, pretty small.
So we'll take us from there. This is your story. You've got a lot of events. You've met a lot of friends, and let's just go from there.
You want to go?
Mm-mm.
Oh, of course. Now he's going to get quiet. Well, at the outing, things kind of clicked. For me, anyway. I know they did for him, too. And went back home, and we started talking. And I was available to drive down, come down. I wanted to see. So, to see where it would go. So I drove down because he was tied up with work, and here I'm retired at this point. I drove down, stayed for a week or so, and then
that was after the outing, yeah.
Yeah, it was after the outing, and he wanted me to stay another week, so I did. Went back home, come back down, went back home, did a little back and forth. Then when I came down, I stayed.
You never went back, did you?
Well, she'd go back. I'd fly her back or whatever. She still had stuff to take care of. She still has a house up there and family and whatnot. But it's like a 15, 16, 17, 18-hour drive with her driving, fighting the wheel by herself. And she don't want to lay over. She wants to run all the way. And that's one heck of a drive for anybody. And it goes through the heart of the country with the most 18-wheeler traffic you can only imagine. It's horrendous because she hits from Cincinnati, she hits Louisville, hits Nashville, and Memphis, Little Rock, and then Texarkana, then on down through Shreveport to get to here. And it's a really stressful, and it was unbearable to see her be so stressed on a long trip dealing with that, because I drove it after she drove it up. Then we started going together back and forth up to her place, and then I was driving it, and it was one big chance, commitment, everything like that for her to do what she did.
It was worth it. It was worth it.
Oh, just stop it.
Get a room.
Get a room, people. Get a room. I just love it. So you guys started.
It was
you
what it
guys-
was. I mean,
Mhm.
she had to go back a couple times, so I just flew her back when I had to. It was just too hard for her to do that, then stay up there a little while and then come back. So
He
that's
was
what we
he
did.
was worried. He was worried. I do like to go in and check in. I do have 2 boys up there. They're grown. I have a grandson, and I do like to go. I go up occasionally, but mainly I'm down here. And well, how it started is we're not far from the national forest, so we decided to go out on our own and learn. We taught. We learned. It was a learn as you go, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
We didn't have no equipment. Didn't know
Nope.
much about what we needed to get. We was learning. I was watching everybody in the field, and I would get her something when we could, if that's something she had to have, and we just picked up a little bit along. Same thing with this the tablet and all those things that you may or may not need. Well, that we had to improve on a lot of things, and try to get. We didn't have to have tablets, maybe, but we went ahead and done it because we had an enjoyment of getting online and doing different things.
What was your first night together as a team? What was that like? What did you learn about each other and learn about getting out in the woods and trying to discover what's out there?
Personally, I could learn that he was someone I could count on. That I was able to explore without fear. I had somebody that had my back if I wanted to check something out. And he gave me the courage to go forward with it. I couldn't do it by myself. This is what he did for me.
Let me tell the real story about what really happened.
Oh, here comes Joe. All right, Joe.
I was being the flamboyant guide as I was.
Yeah.
So we parked the truck about a mile from the end of a road. And when you get to the end of the road, you cross a creek and then go down another road on the other side of the creek, which is just barely crossed. And then you can walk up and Bigfoot on back. So myself, I decided I could see how I could cut through the woods and make it to the truck. Well, about an hour later, we were still making it to the truck. Well, we didn't take no time, and she went. Poor thing, I had her going up hills and hollers and stuff, and it was jokes made, but it was serious business. And we come out right at the truck. It just took a lot longer than what I thought. And I think, yeah, I bet you won't trust me no more on this stuff after this deal. This ought to wipe that up. All that got your back stuff. Yeah, this ought to do it right here. This ought to really, really do all that trust and stuff. And so you need to be careful what you say, because you won't be able to stick to it.
Oh, I forgot all about that. He called it Leaning Tree Trail.
Leaning Tree Trail, what I called it, because she'd get by a tree and she'd lean up against it and I'd walk ahead.
It was up and down hollers.
We went across 2 pretty good hills and hollers, and it was like, man, I'm thinking, I hope she don't fall out. I don't know how we're going to get her out of here if she does.
Oh, come on. Well, those dips are hard on your knees. They are hard on your knees.
It was rocks, too. I mean, in that national forest, there's a lot of rock formation in there in pine straw that slips off of it. And it's a good place to break an ankle, twist an ankle. And plus, it's hog sign all in there. We could have ran into anything, but we didn't.
Right. No.
Grace of God got us back straight to the truck. I mean, I used the phone and
so you guys have a wild population or a wild feral hog population?
Yes, we do.
Have you had a lot of encounters with those?
Quite a few. The other evening we went out, she spied 2 on the side of the road. It was in the bushes. We just stopped to adjust the phone to pick up what you were doing or something. I don't remember what it was. And she said, I see something out there. I said, what you see? Well, it's 2 hogs out there. And we'd never seen them, but she picked up on them just like that.
I'm his eyes when we go out.
A lot of times she picks
And
up
brains.
deer and hogs and all that.
Yes.
She's your eyes and brains.
Yes.
You can't drive the road and see everything. And then we went out that evening, and I don't know if that's where we're supposed to be going with this, but anyway, this was just the last time we went out. We went out to a farm, one of those ponds on the government that they stock with fish for the kids. We ain't no longer. We just been there just a few minutes, and we hear a shot. Sound like a gunshot, and it goes off up the road. And I didn't think about it not being a gunshot because it sounded just like one. And we was there a little while. She was thermaling around and got dark. When we got there, it was dark. But anyway, she was running the thermal. And we was looking around, looking for whatever. And then she finally handed the thermals over to me. Said, "You want to look?" I said, "Yeah, I'll look a minute." And something gets up on the levee down there. It was probably, I'm guessing, a deer. But it came up on the levee, and I was thermaling it. I give the thermals to her. She said, "All right, I'm going to look at it. You shine a light on it, see what it is." Because it really would never clear itself. It was like it came up a little hill where the levee was, and then kind of just crested over maybe a foot or two.
Right.
And never give us an ear or nothing. You couldn't really tell what it was. And when I picked the light up and started shining, she said it took on off, it just went, retreated, went on back through the woods or whatever. But I didn't dawn on me at the time that might have been a wood knock. And it might have been it was just one big loud, pop, like it sounded like a gun going off. And it was the road. Excuse me.
You guys have a lot of levees there in Louisiana.
No, them ponds always has got, I call it a levee, but a dam. Plus, all the river system around here has levees on the flood for flood protection. I don't know if y'all have that in y'all's rivers up there, but we have a lot of those. It's got levees and stuff made by a lot of our bar ditches. Is roads built up. They got bar ditches. The road's actually a levee, really.
Oh, we do have some levees. Some are sophisticated and some are made of dirt. I remember the hurricane coming through and a levee broke, and it took out a whole mobile home park. The only thing that was left was the steps. That was during a hurricane. But the levees is that a good place to do research? Are the levees? Is there something that would support that would be an easy byway, or?
It could be, but most of it's private and gated off nowadays. The levee system at one time was kind of open for travel back in the 70s and 80s, but the farmers has all closed all that, and the cattlemen's closed all that off, so we really can't use that for much. You won't be able to go very far, and you'll be trespassing around here if you get on anything, even though the government put it together.
So when you go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
So when you guys have you got together, you went out on your first Bigfoot, and you started learning what works for you. You also met a lot of friends along the way, and you picked up some really good tips and experiences with them. Is there someone particular that just stands out that you learned a lot from, or you could take away something?
I do. I'm a mod for Chris Reinhardt, but before then I spent a lot of time on the phone with him that we just kind of clicked, and he kind of clued me in on a few things. I would ask questions. He would give me answers. I was intrigued, with audio, and he does a lot of audio, and he does a lot of thermal, but also the tri-field meter. And it was just him and Chris Connor from the Trail to Bigfoot were the only ones that were doing the tri-field meters. And Joe purchased one for me, actually. And I play with that here, and I let him know if there's anything, which on our last conversation, when it was just me, I discussed how I was sitting in the truck and the tri-field meter went off and I got out of the truck. And like I said, I do have that recorded. and no explanation. There's no reason for that to go off peaking as high as it did. But we started out, we didn't have recorders.
That's the
We
thing we
have
didn't have
anything.
is something to work with. Tell me
Yeah.
about going flat rock with Cowboy.
Would you, for those that don't know it, can you explain the meter and what it does and how it helps you?
What it does is I put it on radio frequency, and and supposedly if it peaks out to a certain, I forgot, to a certain point, it's equal to having a microwave running with the door open.
Wow.
What it's equal to. They use it a lot in Skinwalker Ranch. I still work with it. It does work. It has gone off underneath. So the radio, it has some different things on it. This one does, but this particular one is what they use. I've had it go off underneath a structure, which I found very unusual. I've gone down a trail. Joe was way in front of me, several yards, and it went off. And I was recording then. Didn't see anything or hear anything. But it fluctuates off and on. If they watch Trail to Bigfoot, they can see some of that they do use that a lot in their investigations and out in the field, but we started out with no equipment and just our eyes and ears. And what's odd is when we go somewhere, especially now, if we're only out, we can just get out of the truck and out for just a minute or two, and we hear something. Just like the other night, we got out of the truck. This is in the National Forest. There is a road that goes by. Nobody went down the road or anything like that. There's no houses close. And I usually have the recorder on when I step out of the truck. This time I did not. Always have the recorder. I was reaching for it when it went off. And I said to Joe, what was that? Because this pond here does have swamp backed up to it, a swamp backed up to it. Yep. So we haven't done a lot out there, but it's someplace that I'm interested in going in the future here, that both of us are. We just have to be careful.
Double check everything that we run across.
With the vocal?
No, vocal. No, there was no.
It sounded like a gunshot at first, but it could have been a loud knock. And it was only one, so that's the hardest thing to course. And we coursed it fine. I thought distance was a whole different thing about.
Right.
To me, it had to come from a road a half a mile up, but it didn't. It sounded closer than that, like Pat was saying to me.
Sounded right there.
It didn't sound that far away, but we didn't hear no vehicles going or coming. Like if it was somebody shooting at something, we didn't hear nobody. Which they could have been driving something we just couldn't hear. But we didn't hear nobody going and coming. But I played it off as a bullet. Somebody shot after dark, and
right.
It's not unnormal or in Louisiana for somebody to go down there and trim them up some camp meat or whatever you want to call it at night in the summertime. Although it was a very bad time to do that. And another thing around here, you can kill like hogs nighttime, coyotes nighttime. Certain times of the year. They're nuisance animals, so you can go down and actually kill them off or harvest them or whatever you want to do. So we didn't know. Right. I didn't even think about it being not a gunshot. It's the way it sounded.
Well, the thing is what we do is we have to just chalk that right off the list because we don't know at that point. We are very particular on what we believe is whatever, and we want solid evidence basically. Even if it's just out without recording, just between the two of us, we want to know. It's not a case of I assume, or we guess. We want to know. But when we first started out, we want to go. You want to go Kisatchie? We're going to go Kisatchie because this is where we started.
Yeah, I took her to the Kisatchie south of us, and we just started going out. You know, when we could. Sometimes it was at night. Sometimes it was evening time, and it was places that I remember having something whistle at me, or something did a wood knock there, and so we would just go. And like I say, when I done my other show, most of my accounts was always during the day because that's when I was down there during the day turkey hunting or something like that. And so we took off and we started going to a swamp over there, and lo and behold, we found us some tracks over there. So we took pictures of them. I used my hand for a diagram. There was not a real. There was more smashed down looking tracks than they were definition of toes or anything like that. But it definitely was like a track way of tracks. So we got that. Finally, after years and years, we finally got that. Something looked like a track, you know, and what we thought was tracks. And
I got the one by the tree.
Yeah, she started off
looked like
finding them first, but it was a trackway or whatever it was.
Right.
Whether it was more than one, I can't tell you. But down here, it was like if it was muddy water or something where you could have easily seen where they'd walked through there and the water was cleared up, but it was just standing rainwater and it got muddy. Nothing would walk in that. They was walking on a little ridge. It was just this kind of in between the bar ditch and the road ditch and that other water. They were walking a little ridge to stay hidden on their tracks or navigate through there. I don't know what their deal was. And but it was like they're very particular and sneaky about what they do, how they do and all that. And that made 2 or 3 times we've been down there and possibly came across a track. It was another time or two we was there. Once before Miss Pat got, I think, down here, then once with us, twice with us together. You know, and it was you would hear all kind of stuff down there sometimes. It was also on the border of this thing, had an old church in the churchyard. It was an active church, but it was on the border of this swamp on high ground just to the east of where we were. And that place was and government land was around it too. And that thing had a whole different vibe. When you went around there, you had a vibe of something lurking around there. Really,
state-owned land seems to be a magnet. It is like it is owned by the state for a reason.
Well, we thought, at least I thought, it was because it flooded so much and they couldn't. The forestry people wound up years and years ago letting it go to the state or something to that effect because it stayed wet so much down in there. And they have huge trees that all the hurricanes just annihilate because it's wet. The root systems get wet, and it blows them those big trees down. Each side of it is forestry land or private land, and it's just regular process where they process pine thickets and stuff. So we got a lot of habitat for deer, hogs. There's some pretty close to that is some farms. Garden spots and stuff at houses. It was probably taking our boogers away from that area, and they move off and feed wherever they had to around away from that spot where we was in that swamp down there. They were just a little ways away, like a quarter of a mile from there, so it would be nothing for something to venture over there and eat out of their garden at night and stuff.
Right.
Well,
go ahead.
You were telling me about back in the day, I guess the elders would have fences around their gardens were like 10 foot high. And that is incredible. That tells me a lot.
It still do.
I mean,
around here.
And we didn't have any deer. Like I was trying to say, the South had patches of deer back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And they evidently harsh hunting earlier than that took them out down to small numbers. So a lot of our deer were reintroduced. So they come from all over. They're reintroduced throughout Louisiana, and I think throughout the South too, because we all, talking to other people, we all have some of the same stories about they brought different species of deer in, which is the same. Deer's a deer, but the ones in Wisconsin, they may go in the rut after the first of the year. The ones in from Texas they bring in, it might be a whole different time. So we had different varieties of deer were brought in, and because we didn't have anything, and I'm thinking, why do you need a fence like double stacks of hog wire high? Why do you need that if you're not going to keep a raccoon out with that, because he's going to climb over it or whatever. But it was always there, and as a kid, I just remember that. But like I said, I didn't have a chance to talk to my grandparents was dead by the 70s, and I didn't have a chance to make any. I mean, I was still a kid. I didn't have any idea about any of that, but except it was just standing out about that fence.
Right. But the thing is what we do is we get a lot of our activity or information when we're out scouting for turkey, as I go with him. And that's where we get a lot of our information. Now, when we go down, just like I had said before, we could be sitting around at night and he would say, "Hey, you want to go bookering?" And I'd say, "Okay." It'd be midnight. We'd hop in the truck and we'd go down to the Devil's Swamp. Well, I know the one night we got out of the truck. Joe walked away from me a couple yards, and I stayed right by the truck. Well, he says to me, "Pat, I have something in front of me." And it was facing into the swamp, that bar ditch, and then into the swamp itself. And all of a sudden I heard something. I said, "Joe, I have something in front of me as well." And what it sounded mechanical. It sounded like a what they call the Australians, it's called a bull roar, where like Crocodile Dundee, when they do the Aborigines do the thing for communication, just like that. I had that right in front of me, hearing that. First thing I did is I clicked on the light. It stopped. I clicked on my flashlight. There was no wind. Looked up in the trees. Trees weren't rubbing. There was absolutely no wind. It was a very silent, still night. It happened about 5 or 6 times.
Wow. Is that like a mechanical sound?
Yeah, it's like whoa, whoa, whoa.
It was
whoa.
like something trying to possibly doing a ultrasound, but maybe didn't know how to do it.
Infrasound or something that I have been told.
That's the right word.
But it was like a frequency almost. It was the whoa, whoa, whoa. And it was, like I said, it was 10 feet in front of me.
You ever listen to David Pilates? Where some of that sound comes up sometimes in the forest? That's scary. Could have been a statistic.
Right. I've heard people, I've run into people now that have told me that a few people that told me that they have heard that sound. And they knew exactly what I was talking about. But that was creepy. I didn't get sick or anything like that. But to like move on it, we've experienced rock clacks during the day.
Tree knock down there during the day too. The first time I believe I brought you down there was a tree knock. You said, "You didn't do that?" I said, "No." No,
he was around a corner. He was like around a little bend right there at a distance from me, and there was a loud tree knock, and it was really close. And I thought he did it, and it wasn't. It was something did it right there in front of him. we've experienced a lot of tree knocks and things like that down in the national forest. You can tell them about Joe Pass.
Well, I don't want to leave the swamp over just yet. I go back in there that same year we had different things happen. And I'm sitting there on the ground. I talked a little bit about it, but some of it I didn't get to or I left out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there on the ground. Something's coming in behind me. Well, it's a bunch of racket going on at the road, like they had owls and stuff. A couple of them maybe, or an owl and a crow fighting or something. But anyway, so just a second, or I say a second, a minute goes by. This owl flies through the woods, kind of down center of the woods, right out in front of me. I said, well, it didn't sound like an owl, but it must have been one, because there he goes. Well, I'm sitting there, and no more than about 20 yards, sounds like a big tree pop or knock or something. And I should have been able to see what it was. It was just right there on top of the same thing sounded like that day, that morning time, that evening time when we was in the woods, and that knock, crack, or whatever you want to call it. Well, me and her was down there. Well, it happened that morning the same kind of way, but it was right there on top of me. And I didn't ever see anything. And like I say, something came in there behind me, and I just had weird vibes about what it was. I figured what it was. And then I had that thing go down, and for the life of me, I couldn't see it. And then things just kind of like settled down, and it just it just moved on. We had brought Cowboy and them back down there on one of our night investigations, or just ramblings, I guess you'd say. It ain't necessarily an investigation, but we definitely had things going on at certain times in that place there. Now she's talking about Cowboy came over, which is Squatching Cowboy. He came over, him and his wife, for a one-night stay. They live about 4 hours from here. So we were going to bring them out to our national forest and see if we couldn't scare up something. And of course, that is such a limited time. It's a wonder you get anything, but could do anything. But lo and behold, that evening we had our camp set up, and so we went out riding, and then we got to a back of a place. And as soon as we all get out the truck, it's a plain, loud tree knock.
Wow.
How far out it was? It wasn't that far.
No.
Out in front of us, the woods was definitely dead quiet. It was really, really quiet right there. It was right before dark in the evening time, and we all got to hear it. It wasn't no, wish I'd have been here. It was like all four of us heard it. And the downfall of it, Joe and them had brought cameras and recorders and stuff, and we didn't have anything much at the time for recorders. And nobody had it playing, because he could have easily got that loud of a knock that close. He could have had it on a recorder of some kind.
He did have it on he was running the video.
No, he didn't get it on in time.
Okay.
That had come and gone.
Okay. Well, I know he was turning on the video.
Us when we was walking that road, crossing that stuff down the trail toward that spot. But same thing at Flat Rock. First time we go out with somebody, or one of the first times we went anywhere with somebody, was Joe Pass and his wife. We went to Flat Rock's house. And again, we did not have what we have today for electronics. We didn't have thermals or audio recorders. And we was a fledgling on the Bigfooting scene, trying to figure things out. And it's nothing. We didn't catch what we should have on. We were relying on what Joe was wanting to do, so we let him be the lead, because that is his show. And we didn't really catch some of that stuff on anybody's recorder. His or what we didn't have any, but it's just a shame. You can't be over prepared when you go out doing that kind of stuff. You got to have your stuff on before you leave the truck. The batteries need to be checked. It needs to be cut on, working. And, as soon as you get out, you better have it on, because lots of times things is happening right as you first get out, and then they may taper off, and then happen down the road an hour later, something else happened.
Yeah, because what it's referring to is about 4 o'clock in the morning, we're camping in Flat Rock's yard, and we're the first ones that's ever camped there. And plus, there's 2 females that were the first females that's ever been there. And about 4 o'clock in the morning, there is a scream. It was definite. And it went on for a lengthy period of time. I don't even want to guess how many seconds, but I've heard enough that I knew what it was. And Cowboy's wife was a skeptic.
Miss April.
And she isn't now. After hearing that, she said, "Pat, did you hear that?" And I think you had something walk in between the 2 tents.
It was a cold front coming through. It's the same weekend they had the meet and freeze and LBL before we ever got to go to one. And it was cold fronts going through, and raining, and it was pretty bad. Down where we were at Flat Rocks, but it was way worse up in Tennessee and Kentucky. But we didn't have a recorder that would work, which Joe was trying to record. His recorder got wet the first night, and that was the second night, I believe. And so another good possibility, kind of, that you could have recorded something, went by the wayside.
Right.
We had when you camp most of the time, you wind up putting a Walmart tarp or something on top and underneath it just for extra barriers. And it was making so much noise, but it sounded like something between our tents moving around, but it was very hard to tell. And what she's talking about, it was the first women camp in a tent around there. His mama lived there and his sister lived there, but they didn't stay out in the yard for no all-night period or something like we were.
At Flat Rock's house, I can't blame them. That's some pretty.
It's got its own special vibe at Flat Rocks too. I mean,
yes,
I do have a comment and 2 questions, if you don't mind. Camping with Sasquatch says, so true. Right when you get out of your vehicle, sometimes things happen.
Oh, definitely. We have that happen a lot. Usually it's at the one place, it's within the first 10 minutes. Did you go to Falk?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'll just put.
Well, anyways, I want to get back to Kisatchie here because we've had a lot in different areas. I want to talk about like some of the things that really have happened. The one night we decided to camp in the campground for the weekend. There's very few cars that come down through there. You're lucky to see a car once a day or whatever.
That's nice.
Okay, and very remote. And the campgrounds are really nice. We decided to camp way back in the back of the campground, in that camping area. Well, the night before, Joe left the pass-through up, which is a no-no now. And what happened is I had a recorder. At this time, we've got recorders. What I hear on the recorder is you hear pebbles being dropped inside the pass-through.
Not throw.
Wow.
But they actually bounced like right in front of the microphone. And then I found them the next day in there.
Yes.
Because I thought, that to leave that tunnel open, it would be a natural sound catcher with that tunnel in front of that deal, but it goes under your bed.
It's under my bed.
And so she was thinking, it's going to be Jason goes up to the mattresses and grabs her and sucks her back down in there and out the way she goes.
We're not allowed to do that.
And she was we were so rookies about it, still are today. The next night when we have really a bunch of stuff happening, we don't have our recorders ready to go.
It seems like when you're not ready to go and you're not ready to roll and you have your equipment, or when you're a rookie in the field is when you start having your best experiences.
Well, that's what happened.
That's the reason why the age-old saying, "I'm getting caught with your pants down." That's
right.
The reason why I always been in my mind.
Right.
You always get caught with your pants down when it comes to stuff like that.
Right. Now, what we had happen is, okay, so the next night, and plus in the meantime as well on the recorder that we hear something messing in the back of the truck. It was jiggling something around. I don't know what it was doing.
To
but
this day, it's a
something.
weird noise.
It was in the back of the truck. It sounded like it was dragging stuff all over the place in the back. But the next night, it's about 10 o'clock, 10, 11 o'clock. We decide we're going to go to bed. Joe's already in bed, and he's got a channel on, and we're going to listen to a podcast or something. And the kitchen is right next to the bedroom. We have like a 20-foot camper, 20-50 camper. And the kitchen window, I always leave open, and I leave the bathroom window open. I'm getting ready to get in bed. I'm standing in the doorway, clicking the lights out, and I hear something outside by the camper, right? Walking past the camper. And I said to Joe, there's something out there.
And I'm thinking, oh God, not again.
You know, and
That's what I'm thinking, because it's like we had these lights that come on and off when something goes by them, and
Right.
it was Teddy going. And she run you crazy with that.
well, what would happen is
Balls to run around.
Flat Rock taught me how to put my iPad in the window at night, and he had things rigged up, so I had something going at all times. And then I would have lights that would kick on as something come around, and if the light kicked on, I was waking him up in the beginning until I got used to it. Joe,
And
the
in
light
the
just
middle,
went off.
And toward the end.
Right. And so, but this night, you could hear the movement outside of the camper.
I finally told her, if they ain't turning the door or the tent or whatever,
Yeah.
just don't wake me up. I'm trying to get some rest.
Right.
Right.
Well, he found out different. So we
Knocking
hear
out
it.
The
We-
trailer, though, it's a different deal.
We hear it, and I hear it walking, and it's passing the kitchen. It's going towards the back door. It's at the back door. And I couldn't tell. Joe thought he felt the weight shift in the camper. I'm just listening for the sound. I'm listening. Okay. But all I know is it's coming back. It's walking back towards, I can hear it. So what Joe does is Joe bangs on the wall.
He'd already banged on
Yeah.
us first, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he heard something.
They
So he
banged
banged.
on us first or something. I didn't initiate it. They had banged on it, then I banged back.
And then he banged back. But at that time, the trailer started rocking back and forth.
Oh my goodness.
It was,
Yes. And we were
was
in
pretty
it. We were
extreme.
in bed. And it was pretty extreme. There was, because what we do is we have a slide out. And it was all in that area there that it was rocking back and forth. And then you can tell them what happened.
Well, it got, when I was sitting in bed and this goes down, it's so aggressive around that door where it enters the trailer at, where we enter in and out. It sounds like it's trying to come in the door.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I got a pistol by my bed. If you go out anymore, you better be bringing something. It don't matter if you're going out at Walmart or you're going out in the woods. It don't make a difference. But I got a pistol by the bed. It's a Judge, and you know what a Judge pistol is, I imagine. So I get it. I said, if it gets to that door, that bedroom is, then I'm gonna give every barrel to it. Every cylinder's gonna be empty. If it gets that far. But we didn't get out of bed
Yes.
at that point.
No, we didn't
But
have
it
time.
didn't. It did what it did, and it stopped. So I put the pistol back down. I get up, and we go. The awning is out. The slide out's out, of course, but the awning is out, and so we thinking maybe something got into the awning. That's, trying to play this off. She said, well, why don't you go roll that awning in and turn that light on? Typical woman thing, sending you out there to do whatever. So I go over there, I roll that awning in. I said, if it's it had a good breeze blowing that night too. But anyway, I rolled the awning in. We turned the awning light on, so it'd be on, on the trailer out that way. We got a generator running in the back to run the air because it warmed up. And then on the far end, I had to make a pass over there. I don't remember if it was that trip or another. When I get to the bathroom, which is a rear bath in that trailer, they got the ladder goes up to the top. I have my truck parked right off the bumper, about 6 or 8 foot. Between me and the truck, I heard something run off. And you could hear it hit the ground. It sounded like it ran off. So I said, I just heard it, whatever it is. It didn't get up that ladder, as far as we know, but it was right there like it was wanting to.
Yeah.
And we had noise on the awning side. We also had noise during the night on the slide outside, which is the opposite of the trailer. And it bam, bam, bam underneath it, getting away from it. I don't know if it was trying to stand up and hit it or what. And I'm listening for people laughing and all that stuff where you have, people trying to be funny in the woods and all that. It ain't nobody, no light cut on, nobody left, nothing. I'm looking for everything and anything.
No one was there.
We couldn't find anybody there.
No.
Trying to be a comedian, and a good way to get your butt shot off. But anyway,
it is.
We didn't find anything. There ain't but 2 things after that comes into mind. It's like paranormal or cryptid or both.
It was one of the 2.
And with the bucket episode in the back of the truck, that could have been cryptid or paranormal. We don't know, but we had some recording of that. They always like messing around the back of my truck for some reason. And they like to mess around with that trailer too. They like to slip up there and do whatever they do. But so we went back to sleep. Tried to. I went back to sleep. She was trying to listen and sleep and what all. And about 1 o'clock, the generator ran out of gas.
We had to go there. We had to go out there.
So
didn't go out to do that.
No, this is the way we handle that. We got a light for the camper, a pretty decent flashlight. We get that light. I get that Judge pistol. I hand it to her. I just get up out of bed, put on my Crocs, go get a can of gas. Me and her both out there together. I said, you take the light. And right before we went out, we took the fob on the truck and started the truck. So the truck lights come on, the truck starts. I said, well, that'll give anything that's around there maybe a chance to get on the way. And so then we go out and fill it up. It cranks right back up once we get some gas in it. She's looking with the flashlight and shining from me. She's got the pistol, so I get it all from her. And we put the stuff down and start back inside with all our stuff. The truck eventually gets shut off, and we get back inside. And tell them about when you spoke to them.
Oh no, I hollered at him. No, the trailer was
down after the holler
thing. He missed some stuff. The trailer was rocking back and forth. I mean, it was pretty violently. Now, look, I've lived in campers before with the racetrack. That's what we lived in. We got tired of renting. I've been in travel trailers mainly for many, many years. It wasn't the wind. I could hear what was out there. I could hear the movement. You could almost feel the movement. And when it was rocking back and forth, after it instantly, when he pounded on the wall, that's when the rocking started. And what I did is I screamed at him and told him to knock it off. Told him we weren't having any of this. Somebody's going to get hurt, blah, 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 and it instantly stopped. And
Flat Rock.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Flat Rock said 10 to 15 people were looking at eyeshine very close to Joe and Pat's camper at Holland's Hunters Camp It was just the same incident?
No.
Oh my God. So, okay.
No, there
fine.
Had so many. We've had.
That wasn't even this last time. That's time before that. We've had 2 or 3 trips to Holland's.
Right.
And
but tell them about
we had at least 3 trips, huh?
304. About
304.
This is
in
Kisatchie.
It's another part of the Kisatchie forestry land out there. One more road. I've traveled so many of them. I usually, we usually work a bunch of them up every year, kind of moving around and looking around and stuff. But anyway, I went out there one like January, February. I walk out, and it's a food plot out there. So it's more than one, but it was one particular one. I said I want to go look at that, see what's going on with that. Maybe it's an opportunity for maybe some turkeys coming in there or something. So I go out there for that. I can't hear. I've been working in at that time about 25 years in a plant with like 100 decibels going on all the time. So you get to a point you can't hardly hear. And so I go out there and I look around the food plot and notice nothing too much. It was a bunch of tracks in there and stuff. But I go back, start heading back to the truck. I hear something to the left of me, real close, but yet out of sight. Is shadowing me back toward the truck, like following me out on the left hand side of the road. And I keep stopping and I'm hearing it and I'm thinking, what the world is that? And it goes all the way within just I'm already to the side of the truck, probably within 20 yards of the truck, and finally I don't hear it anymore. And so I'm thinking, well, something followed me out right here. And I never see what it is. Nothing squall, nothing makes any noise, and nothing. It was just like you could hear him kind of following what I was doing, and I can't hear good, so it had to be close. I couldn't have heard it. So, right up from that's where Pat hears what she thought was the fake turkey calls coming back at her when she was by the truck, which with no piece from there actually, and I'm walked off away from the truck. I'm down in the woods looking for turkey stuff and following the tracks and looking around. And she's right there at the truck, and you can't leave her alone. Something's usually going to happen. And sure enough, she comes back and says, I just heard a turkey right there. But I don't know if it was one or not. It was
about five different times.
It was doing this and it was doing that. I said, really? I said, I said, I didn't hear it. And I know I would have heard it if it had been really, really loud. So it was subtle, whatever it was. It was kind of weird that we just drove up there, got out, looked around a little bit, and then I went looking and she stayed by the truck. Then we looked at 2 or 3 different things, and then we went on about our business. And then we came back another evening, and we talked to Mark Green. He had told us about using an elk call and a drum bull. So I had a drum bull made up. I had an elk call I created up, that not the store-bought one, but something I could put together. So we get out there one evening after dark, and it's a big clear cut there. So I said, well, it's like cut to the ground, brand new. We got our thermals on. I said, we'll go here, because if something breaks out of the woods, it's got a long ways to get us, and I'll be able to see it coming, or you can see it coming with a thermal if we have any results. So we got out there, and I stepped out of the truck, and I'm trying to do an elk call, and I can't do it to save my life. And I made a noise, and it was loud and stuff. And then I said, well, let me try again. So next time I try to do like a coyote howl, it was high pitched. And as soon as I do that, it comes back. And what come back?
You got a return call, and it sounded like the T-Rex.
But it was loud.
It sounded like the T-Rex call.
It was one
that
single
you have?
call
Yes.
in the corner of the woods on the several yards across that clear cut.
It was not happy.
Whatever it was, just made one. And it was kind of a hot part of summer, about like now, I guess, because that's the reason why I was out there at night, because it was so hot. And we had that happen there. I can't remember anything on that road that stood out.
Yes, we had. It's the same road where I found a structure, and it's the same road. What with the turkeys?
Yeah, the structure. You had the chow field meter go off several times down in there too.
Right, it's all in that area, and so I have questioned if there's maybe something back in there.
I mean, Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Before we go on, do you mind if I hit some of these questions before we lose it? I actually had a chance to speak with Mark Green tonight, and he is absolutely wonderful.
Isn't he though?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I was just very impressed with him and the way he spoke about Miss Rebecca. And they actually have a channel that where they actually talk about Bigfoot and have a
Sure.
chat on their channel and homesteading. And I'm definitely going to start checking it out. But I did have a few questions. Laura wanted to know, have you ever seen one face to face?
I have. I have at Falk, Arkansas. I
Mhm.
saw one crawl up. And if you go back to where I did my interview personally, I discussed that. That's where I saw one crawl up to Joe's tent while he was asleep and crawl
And,
back. It did like a spider crawl. Um,
and go
is
ahead.
is what I had happen, and then it backed away, and then it came back. Well, I was calling to it, trying. It was probably, I would say, maybe 15 feet away, somewhere like that. There was a tent that it had to go past. It was kind of pretty close to Joe's tent, but Joe had a light on, and it was a full moon, and I saw the silhouette very well. It wasn't a huge one. It appeared that I'm thinking maybe it was a juvenile. It didn't have a big definition of a conical head on it. It was more rounded. I did see the hair reach when it reached out with its arm. I did see the hair hanging off of its arm. And the night before, we had him running through the tent, pushing the tent down. But that's I have seen one. Well, we've been pretty close to some.
So I have a question now. It seems like the common denominator that I hear a lot is when it comes to them being in the area, bird sounds, mimicking sounds, the owl
Oh,
sounds.
oh yes,
Do you have
yes,
opinions on that? Because it seems like that's come up several times.
yes. I can tell you that the thing at Flat Rocks, I now this is where I put the recorders out. And I was very vigilant with those because we were with another couple and one lady. On the recordings that I did get there of mimicking was I heard whistles, and but they were like through the teeth. I heard two whistles, and it was through the teeth. It was really close. Now,
There you go,
also road noise. At Flat Rocks, you can hear when a vehicle goes by. This was like early fall that we were there. Um, and you could hear the road noise, where it was hitting like, the low places and high
Uh-huh.
places uh, on the road. And you could hear that. Do-do, 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 do-do. Okay, then what happened is I could hear whatever it was because I knew something was out there. They hung around the camper all weekend. You could hear the tapping and it was mimicking the road noise. And I do have that recorded, which is
That's
really,
intelligence.
it really, really fascinates me. I think that's probably the the most important piece of evidence that we have was the mimicking. That was a good question. That, like I said, it mimicked the road. The road noise started out as the road, and then you could hear it. It was tapping on the awning bar. Is I know exactly where it was at, right outside my camper, which I found
So
interesting.
let me go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Air Force One said, "Did we lose Miss V?" Nobody. I love that name, Air Force One. No, we did not. What me and my husband spoke about this tonight. The monitor has a short in it. We don't know if it's the camera. Joe, stop. Just stop, Joe. Give him a swift elbow in the rib for me,
Right,
Blue
right.
Eyes. Just.
Yeah.
So me and my husband spoke about it tonight. I'm gonna just go ahead and get a new system. So I turned off my camera because I figured it would drive you guys nuts seeing my monitor go in and out. and you'd rather probably look at the avatar. If I'm wrong, just tell me in the chat and I'll put the camera back up. Now, you've met a lot of friends along the way, and for people that don't know it, Flat Rock has a lot of activity to the point where his wife had to leave the property. His mother does not go outside at night. You, and this just goes to the people that you've met in the community, and you go out to their property, and you're not only forming a friendships that you just keep forever, some of the best you ever make, but you go out and you experience what they're having to live with. And a lot of people, most people in the chat probably know, but people going back out or may see this later may not be aware of what's going on Flat Rock's residents. If you want to just give them a briefing and how you got involved and how you guys met, that because that's a part of the backstory.
Right. Well, at Flat Rocks, when we went down there, the purpose of us going down there too, we were invited by another couple. It was
Squatch Out first.
Okay. Oh,
Squatch Out when we met him first.
Oh yes, we that's where we met Flat Rock, is at the Squatch Out up in Tennessee. We met him, we met Bud and Angie, and we met Jody, and
Cowboy
and Squatch and Cowboy. We met Mogs. I met Old Bear.
Bear's a good guy.
Ralph. Let me see, and his wife, and there was several that we have met, and we are still good friends with those individuals, which it was such a blast. Was sitting with Flat Rock, and I was cooking at the camp, and he was sitting there talking to me as there was being pebbles tossed off at the mountain, and he picked up on that as well. They were coming down off the mountain at us, right where we were at. But Flat Rock was having some issues where people were questioning that he was a hoaxer and just that usual stuff. And they were really giving him a hard time. I mean, some of these they basically are life-threatening. They physically threaten you, and this is ridiculous.
If you ever meet Flat Rock, he's such a genuine guy. But
that's
the
right.
threats and some of the bullies in the community, you know what? Just don't give them any attention. I just don't like a bully anyway.
No. So what we did is we went down. Angie and Bud invited us down, and we brought Jody along with us, and we're gonna prove that they are there. We're going to try and get some proof. I knew they were there. I kept telling them, I said, because I heard this, I know that they're there. And so what they did is Jody is a retired opera singer. She's a vocal coach as well. Now she understands frequencies and vibrations and things like that in the human voice. And what she did is she listened to a recording, and she matched a recording that Flat Rock had. She listened to it. She went to the edge of the woods, and she did a call.
Wow.
And what happened is she got a return. The whole place lit up. It was roll call at that point. And along with all the dogs and the coyotes and everything else, that is recorded. You can see all of that. That whole episode on Bud and Angie's adventures.
Fun adventures with Bud and Angie.
Yeah, fun adventures with Bud and Angie. Well, then 3 hours later, and also I was recording at that moment too, and I was over by the camper that my recorder was going, and I did get some kind of EVP, but the dog had run over that way too, so it was chasing something. And she had one right in front of her too, apparently.
Oh my goodness.
She headed back. It was right in the woods right there in front of her, hollering back at her. Then
his dog was assaulted too. His dog was hurt.
Yes. His dog goes through this all the time. He's a booger dog. He'll let you know where they're at. But the anxiety that is put on this dog is kind of horrible, that that he deals with. He's very possessive of Flat Rock, and he takes care of Flat Rock. So I do know that. But she did another call about 3 hours later, and she got no response the first two calls. So Angie had her take it a little higher, and she got a call back. That is also on the recording. We got um, eye shine. Joe can tell you about the eye shine and all of that. Tell him what you saw.
Okay, we went on a night walk down behind Flat Rock's house. He's got a little tram road that goes like old logging road, except it's really, really old and dim. It is kept open to a point, but not real good. So we went down there. His instruction where to go. He was with us. He said, I was leading the little outing. I was lead. Bud was tagging the rear. So Flat Rock's telling me where he wants to go, and I'm front shining and going. So we went on around there, got down to a little creek, and then we started moving around and found some different breaks and stuff. And we came up a hill there, and it was like a eye shine on the side of that hill right there at us. And then it goes out, whatever it is. I mean, it goes dark. And so I seen that, and before I could tell anybody, I said, "Yeah, what to look?" Well, I just said I got eye shine, and then everybody's looking and trying to try field meter and doing this and doing that, and so we make a little round, and then we eventually get back out to the camp, his house, and where we're camping and all. And that was that on that night. And was it the same night or the next night? We were around the campfire.
I don't. It was the next night.
I think it was the next night. We had planned to get around the campfire, and not only has Flat Rock himself had different things happen. His mother, the man up front that stays up front that most of the property belongs to, they'd all had different things going in when they're going in and out of there. So it was like several eyewitnesses to different things on Flat Rock's place. And we'd sit around the fire. We was wanting to hear his mother was going to come out and talk. And then we really didn't know the other fellow was going to come down there the next day. We could have probably got him down there that night, and he could have talked with our little group. And Flat Rock's mom come out. She told us of her encounters and different things, and she was really shook up by it and all this, and just it's just another story of what happened in Flat Rock's area. So it was really, really good to hear multiple stories about the same piece of land and everything. So, and then the next morning, the guy that just got most of the property there, he comes down and he's got a story to tell. So we took that on too. We all listened to that, and
you saw eye shine too.
But the second night we were there, I think it was maybe a Saturday night. That's when Jody does the calls. Well, before Jody walked off to do the calls, I looked behind Flat Rock into the darkness. He's sitting in a chair across from me, across the fire pit, and I see something like a red eye shine just for a second, and then it goes out. And I'm thinking, what did I just see? I'm dumbfounded by it. It was real quick. It wasn't, I hadn't seen that much anything like that, so I was really perturbed on what I did see. So, that goes away. Well, while Jody's going down there to do these calls, Angie's following around with her camera recording all this. And then Pat, she's walking around with them too with thermals and I don't know, doing whatever she's got. She's got stuff going on. And while she's filming, she catches some glittery eye shine on her recorder. So they have it recorded on this tape when they were down there. It was just like a little flickery looking eye shine. It was in the same area. What I'd seen was probably whatever that was. And so that's all recorded on Bud and Angie's outing at Flat Rock too. That's all. There was all there. They were bringing. We kind of joined them down there, so they were doing a show, and Jody was there. She came up and joined all of us because we had all been together. That we all met together, got to meet each other and friends, and so we try to do stuff together.
And, friends are really important. And let's go back to Flat Rock for a minute. Flat Rock's got all of this going on his property. He's going through a lot. He's trying to figure things out. His mother won't go outside at night. His wife all but left the property. His dog gets assaulted. The neighbor's dog gets beat up against a tree like jelly. And you've got people out there that are threatening him. Mm-hmm. He's trying to find out the answers. He's going into the community and he's trying to figure it out. And he has people threatening him, calling him a hoaxer. At some point, it has got to stop. And when people like you and Angie and Jody and everyone else step up and they listen to him, and you go out and you try to help him and you try to get answers for him and help him figure things out. Thank you for listening to him and not condemning him. That is, to me, thank you.
Yes,
that.
We'd met him a good, like a few years bore at that squash out, and then we couldn't go the next time. But they all got together and went to several. They had lots of different outings and stuff they were able to, or nothing else. It was like they have people come speak and all that. They'd met up all over the place around their area. Now, Bud and Angie lives in Ohio, and Jody lives over in Georgia, and Flat Rock lives in Alabama. So Flat Rock's like a hub for some of us to get in that.
Yeah.
It's just a hub to get to him or around his area. Like Hollins is around his area too, in sort of that way. We was able to on all those places. Go ahead.
Leanne wants to know, and thank you for joining in today, Leanne. Your comments are always so nice. Leanne wants to know how big is Flat Rock's place?
It's
pretty wooded too.
Now his immediate mother and him and his sister and his brother live there. I'm going to say they live on about an acre, maybe two. I don't know.
No, his entire property.
That whole compound, probably 15 acres, 10 or 15 acres or so, if not bigger.
I would say it's no less than probably 20 acres. I'm thinking. I'm just thinking he's the only one that can answer that. I know it's large and it's mainly wooded, but what happened the next night after now. On that, if you go and you look at that video, you can hear the callbacks. You can also see the eye shine. You can see the blinking. You can see basically how tall the subject is as well. And it's self-illuminating eyes is what you see. They did go back there and they tried to 25 acres. Okay, thank you, Flat Rock. They tried to get a distance on it, a height, what have you, on it, but you're able to go look and see that for yourself. They are there. And now the next night, Jody has left. Jody was sleeping in her car. And what she does is she puts the mesh down on her car. And I've got on her car windows. So her car windows are basically open and she's sleeping right there. She won't come into the trailer and stay with us. So I put a recorder. I put a recorder right there where she is at. Now, Bud and Angie are just a couple feet above her, a little bit of a distance from her. I can hear them on the recorder walking around her. They are banging on trees, not the whistling. I heard the whistling going on. And then after she left, there was a lot of activity going on all around her. She never heard it. But on Sunday, she had left. And Flat Rock, Joe, and I are sitting outside the camper. And it was 11 o'clock at night. Bud and Angie had just went in their truck to sleep. They heard something. He heard something there as well by his truck. and a grunt, and also as well. He had a recorder running, and so did I as well. And we got something was standing at the edge of the woods there, hollering at us. I did 2 or 3 calls out at us. It sounded just like Jody, identical to Jody, whatever it was.
Wow, that's incredible.
And we
Look out.
believe it was looking for Jody.
That's what
We tell Jody that anyway, but
no, I
we're
think it
sitting
was
right
looking for her,
there.
though.
It was identical to what Jody called out to them. This is what we got. And it was right there. It was relatively close. I don't know what the distance of, only Flat Rock can probably tell me.
Before we move on, since Flat Rock is in the chat and very wonderful people are here tonight, thank you to everyone. When you, for someone that's having activity, and this is, let's just put it out there, for someone that is having activity on their property, they're reaching out in the community, they're trying to get answers, they're trying to find good people to come in for support, and they get bullied and they get threatened. And Flat Rock, you're in the chat too. What is the best way or the best advice you can give to that person that's getting those threats? To me, I would tell them to move forward, document everything. If they come to your door, do what you got to do, but do not give them the energy.
No, do not. Do not. The thing is they're usually armchair researchers. A lot of them are. They have nothing else better to do except to harass somebody. And some of them, then you have your testosterone deficient, is what I call them, researchers that
Okay, Joe.
that want to run around because and don't like what you're doing, and they don't like the pattern of your camo, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know why this community cannot get together and work together. Somebody is always out to basically belittle someone else, like my stick's bigger than your stick. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. We're all in the same boat. I don't know why we can't work together. Yeah, preach it, Billy. That's right.
Billy said, preach it.
Yeah,
I agree. There comes a point where it needs to stop, because
it needs
you don't know what someone's got going on in their personal life. You don't
No.
know if they're taking care of a sick kid, a sick parent. They've just lost, buried a kid. You don't know if they're dealing with terminal illness. You don't know. Words are lasting sometimes.
That's right. And I can tell, let me warn you, all in this community, a lot of times these people that go into these chats always aren't who you think they are as well. You do learn a lot more about the individual when you meet them in person, like when you camp and things like that. But don't jump into anything until after you meet these people. Because some of them are a little bit sketchy now, I'm telling you, and it's nothing to play with. You need to not give out all your information, invite them up to your house or something like that. Find a neutral place. These camp houses are kind of good because you can get a feel for the person, especially when you meet them in person. And it's unnecessary, all of it. You have to be careful, folks. You have to be careful.
There is some shady stuff. I remember a few years ago, someone had contacted me and told me that their grandfather had buried a Bigfoot on their property, but I had to come out alone and help them dig up the Bigfoot. And I'm like, negative.
Right, right. But he's a good guy. But we've had we could go on and on and on of the things that happened at Flat Rocks. But that is just the main talking points that we're able to come up with, because there is so much. But like I said, the mimicking is what I found very interesting there. And that's all documented. But when we got those, what was really odd too is when something called out to us, and we had those recorders going. My recorder and Bud's recorder had stopped working. Neither one of us got it. I never had trouble with my recorder. Neither had Bud. His shut off, and so did mine. We didn't get it. We didn't get those calls. That's what's crazy.
You had said something one time in the chat, and it really made me think, kind of get some insight into your experience. And we were talking about scent, and what I think you were talking about trail cams, and you said something. Well, maybe there's something about the batteries they smell.
I'm questioning that.
Could be.
Yes, I'm questioning that, because when I put recorders out at the pond, they always find them. Whatever it is, there's always something coming up sniffing them. So they always find them. Always find them.
Yeah, I always thought that was a very interesting observation you made, or a suggestion you had.
And also on like trail cams, I know Joe has some here. I can smell them myself. I pick up on the smell. I don't know if it's the batteries or what it is in there, but I smell them as well. So
Joe said something really that stays in my mind. We don't know what they do when we're pulling up in the area. We don't know.
I almost
The
believe
logs they're setting off. Are they tree knocking? Are they? We don't know what. We're getting ready to get out on them, but they are preparing for us.
Right, exactly. That's what we run across, like at the pond that we go to. We just happened to go out there one night, and we were camping. And we were camping across the street, probably a mile away. And Joe was told about this this pond. The locals told him about this pond that he could go to. And so we took off, and we were going to go there at night. Well, it was so creepy. And I've never, ever, ever rolled my windows up. And I said, this is too creepy back here for me, Joe. And I rolled my windows up. Said, we need to come back here during the day or something. I don't want to be back here. And because you roll right up on the pond, and it's right in the middle of nowhere in the forest. So what we did is we come back the next night, and so I come back loaded for bear. What I do is I bring recorders. I got recorders running, just like Chris Reinhardt has instilled in my head. You can't get anything if they're not on, Pat. So I had the recorder running, and when I stepped out of the truck, and I had a thermal in my hand, and Joe puts what you do, you put the thermal down. I'm scanning with the thermal. He takes the recorder, and he's going to place it for me, and we're going to put it out. It's going to be close to the pond, right by a tree. And what'd you do? You went over to the
no, I cut that Coke bottle so we could just put the recorder in that bottle to keep the rain or off of it or anything. But I cut a plastic bottle open, took the lid off, so I went to the trash can. It was the old park trash can. It's bear proof, so we opened it up and threw the trash I had up in there, and then we went on over and put the recorder down.
And then what happened is I've learned the difference. I had never heard one before, but it was a mouth pop, and it was loud. And what was great is I heard it, and we're getting a lot of stuff on real time, and we're also getting it on the recorder. There was no denying this. And Joe had hollered over at me, it's on the recorder, and I still hear about it. And he goes, did you hear that? And I said, yeah, that was you. He said, no, it wasn't. That wasn't me. I said, it wasn't you. And it was relatively, 50 yards away from us?
It sounded like it wasn't very far.
It was
very far at all.
Very close.
And we just turned around, and we do just like we've been told to do. You take your vehicle, and you go in a place, you turn around, and you face out. That way, all you got to do is jump in and throw it in gear and go. No back and forth, turn around or whatever. But this place here we were able to go in between some trees and just make a loop, and you just face it back toward the road, get out of there. And I just swung by that area with my headlights, and then turned the ball off. We got out. She already had the recorder going. Then I was making a make do little holder for the recorder. And she said, "Well," we put it out on the ground, and I put some leaves and stuff over it where nobody see it. And I went back and threw that trash away. Well, she said, "Why don't you go get that call over and see if you can't make a call?" So I go back to the truck and open up the door, and I shut the door back, and all doing this in real time. The doors were being shut just like he was if he was not boogering, and loudly or whatever. And I make about a step or two, and all of a sudden, it sounds like head high, about, like I say, about 30, 40, 50 yards away. You hear a mouth pop, and the sound delivers like I'm 6'2". Well, it's coming right at you, head high. It ain't coming off the ground. It sounds, you can't tell it on recorder is good, but listen to it naturally. It's just like a mouth pop that you took, if you could do it really loud, it's what it sounded like.
Right. So we didn't see anything on the recorder.
I don't need to call at that point. I think it's up. The gig's up. I don't need to be calling.
But when you were going out there, you got this. Your spidey senses were up. You knew your gut told you.
It was a creepy place.
Yeah, you knew. Yeah.
The more we went out there, the more at ease we got. But I don't mean anything. But
no,
it was a place we'd never been. It was darker and dark up in there. No.
It's dark.
Out in the woods. It was
it's like a bowl.
A pretty good sized pond. And when you see it and you see it during daytime, it's just a good spot to have in booger action or whatever. So we get there, we do all that, we hear this, me and talking about it. She, accuses me of it like everything else. Accuses me of it. And,
it's easy.
It's always my fault something happens, no matter what it is. So
ain't love grand.
That's right.
But anyway, we get there and we get ready. We mess around. I don't remember. Did you get the thermal out and do any thermal?
I even tried to scan over with the thermal. I had the thermal in my hands, and I was looking through it when we heard the mouth pop, and we decided to leave. And
yeah, I said, "Come on, let's go. Let's just let them have it."
Right.
Whatever it is, let's let them have it.
Well, I could hear movement like over on the one side of the levee. And then behind us, I heard a little movement as well. And there's only there was another way out, but it's hard to get to. And you got to go across the levee to do it. And there's only one way in, one way in and one way out. If you have a tree pushed over in front of you, you're not getting out. And, right. It's a little iffy back in there. So what we did is we went ahead and left, but the recorder is still there. I left it there. So when we picked it up the next day, we did some videoing around the area and what have you. And on that recorder that I got, we were only gone. We weren't even.
No, it was still chiming. The truck.
Yeah, we were at a distance. We were a little distance away. We were just shutting the doors and everything. You hear tree knocks. About 15 minutes later,
we couldn't tell which.
Right. You're hearing all of these sounds, and what you're hearing is you hear the garbage can of the bear-proof garbage can. You hear it slam shut. There is no one out there. Absolutely no one. We're not even right down the road. They'd had to pass us. There's no one there. We heard all that. So what we did is we waited a couple days. We couldn't get back out. And we came back out to put a recorder out. Well, they had it blocked. We couldn't get in there. We said, "Oh man, something's up. They must have found out about them or something, Joe." Well, we found out when some other people come up there, they were having a fishing rodeo. They had just dumped a bunch of catfish in there in this pond. But on my recorder, I kept hearing this, the water movement of something in the water heavy and getting out, and you could hear it banging on something like, if it was an animal or whatever it was banging on like a turtle or like a catfish or whatever. It was killing something that it had pulled out of the water. You could hear all those kind of sounds.
Wow.
But yes, and what they had did is they had dumped some catfish. So we had to leave. We came back, we put a recorder out. And the next time we come out there, we hear a tree knock. We're not there 15 minutes. We hear the tree knock at us in another area. But when we hear that in real time and on audio, the audio's there. What else had happened? They had porta potties there. You could hear the porta potties being slammed. Joe had got into the garbage. You could hear the garbage can slam again. And the porta potties just slamming shut.
They reacted to that trash can, it seemed like.
Yeah, and they didn't like the porta potties because they were slinging them open really hard and slamming them shut. And all of this, there was a lot of, you could hear a lot of movement, and a lot of these sounds come in within the 45 minutes. That's counting from the time we were there, maybe 20 minutes. And so that's another 25 minutes. After we leave, we hear all of this stuff. But we heard, throughout the night, you're hearing the tree knocks. You're hearing them pushing over trees.
A different time.
Yeah, you can hear the movement, like I said, and the trash can again slamming shut. And tell them about the little boy.
Oh, that was even. What's so bad? The night we first put our stuff out. They already put the catfish in there, and then they barricaded a day later or whatever it was. Well, the night we put our stuff out and we have this audio, somebody goes in to poach these catfish at night and get them out of there. So
they poached a catfish?
Oh, yeah. They go in there with a boat and put out jug lines and stuff to catch them before the little kids can even do it. So they either figured it out or they were told or something. So we're hearing this on the recorder. Pat picked it out. She said, listen to this. So the little kid gets out of the truck. And he's running around there asking 50 questions. He says, I smell something or I hear something. I can't remember how he said it. The little kid did. It was some little little small child. He said, something's here.
He said, something's out here.
And then he said, I smell something or I hear something. Mm-hmm. Then he asked about alligator. Then he asked about this and that and the other. But it was weird the way he said it. Like that little kid could sense something going on around there.
He was scared.
It was just weird. I know it probably didn't mean nothing, but it was a reaction that mm-hmm. If they only knew it. So the first night we caught boogers and poachers on the audio.
Wow, that's a combination. But the boogers will take care of the poachers if they take up their food.
Well, I'm sure. I don't know what they were doing, but it was like we would get one thing when we went out there. Somebody else wouldn't get what we would get. They would walk back and forth from somewhere to somewhere and come up in there and fish or do something. And I'm thinking I wouldn't walk out there and walk back across the road over where we're going.
But a lot of people don't know those sounds. They don't make sense to them.
No,
they don't hear them half the time. They're in their own world. They've got their earbuds in. They're
not paying attention.
They don't know what's in their forest.
That is close that time, and then at Hollins, if me ever see anything, it's just that old out of the corner of your eye glimpse of something. So I've never seen nothing head on where I could really see what it was. I just had these things, was that something type deal. I've never been able to see one really good or anything like that at all.
Before we move on, go ahead.
Okay. Oh no, go ahead.
Before we move on, I want to go into something Mark said, and it makes a lot of sense. And I've said this before. And Mark, you're 100% on it, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
When you have activity on your property, and this is why people need to be picky and not just have anyone on their property. When you have activity on your property, and you have to live on that property. And sometimes when you bring in the wrong people and they're not respectful to the land and they're not respectful to what's on the property, it can make what could be, you're learning to your boundaries and cohabitate with something on your property to a nightmare. And when you have money invested in land and your land is your living and that is your home, to bring the wrong people on your property to investigate something, you can lose what you've worked for, and it can go from being a situation you can tolerate to pure terror, to getting your animals killed, to getting your family terrorized. And that's why people are picky about who they let on their land. And I've always told people that you have to be careful because that's your home. And just like when Finding Bigfoot come to Uwharrie National Forest, they destroyed that. They were hanging venom and hygiene products from the trees and just destroyed a good area. Not only did they destroy it for researchers, they destroyed it. Who wants their kid running around seeing female hygiene products hanging from trees?
No.
So you had but that I think that is why Mark said that, and I understand. But so when you look at it from that point of view, there's some people that want to prove it because of their experiences, and they've had something that happened in their childhood, and they just want answers. But having them on your property, you kind of have a different. But I just wanted to clarify that in the chat. So I apologize if I've offended anyone.
Right. Well, one thing too is wherever we go, we do like to show respect, whether if we're going to somebody's property or what have you. Now, it was worked out with, let me come to Flat Rock's defense and our defense as well. When we decided to do this, it was to make a point. He demands physically pretty much that they want to come there. There's people threatened to come there. He can only answer those questions for you like that. But the thing is he's being threatened physically, physical harm, and some different things. And there was a lot of people that were really bashing on him hard. So he seems to have a good, at peace rapport with them now. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have all that retaliation like he did in the beginning. And we gave them the utmost respect while we were there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we did try and bring them out, yes.
Well, that wasn't so much in reference to Flat Rock's property, but people having people on their property in general. And I have respect for Flat Rock because Flat Rock stayed his course. And
that's right.
You can paint a rose on the side of a barn and it's still going to smell like BS. But Flat Rock's case, he weren't painting a rose on it. Shut up, Joe. He was standing on the truth. His story never changed. He stayed his course, and that, I think that's awesome. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Right. Now, like at Flat Rocks, I don't think we did, we didn't even do any knocks, I don't believe. There's certain things. I mean, we did those calls.
They done a few things. They put out some audio in the game. Maybe Bud them had some, they didn't have game cameras. They actually had like security cameras they put out.
Yes.
Around the house and on the tractor and different stuff like that. And I don't remember what they got. Some of that stuff went down too, but it was pretty good stuff. I mean, we got to see it like live on the phone. It would come straight back to the tablet of the phone or wherever it was.
But it weren't just Flat Rocks property. You
No.
guys had some pretty incredible experiences.
No, no.
You met friends all over the United States.
It seems to just kind of anymore. It seems to kind of just fall in our lap. But like I said, Flat Rocks is the only place that the people actually know where we go. And all of these people, you have a lot of people in the chat that actually know Flat Rock right now. Yeah. So, and they all know we've already been on other podcasts and they know we have been out there. We are a spokesperson for Flat Rock. And we will come to his defense. But at the pond and stuff like that, nobody knows where these other places are at. You know, the one time that we were standing on the levee at the pond one evening when we got back from Flat Rocks, what we did is we were going out there pretty regular and we were watching this. I wanted to see if they moved out of there or, you know, or moved around, you know, left and then come back, or was it a one-time thing or what it was. They seemed to have stayed. This was in March when we caught it, and they seemed to stay all summer long. And because it was the end of September when I believe when we come back from Flat Rocks. But we were standing on the levee the one night and it just turned dark. Joe had been out there fishing and we were going to walk back. We were only like 40 yards away from the truck. Him and I were walking back together and it sounded like a large stomp. And I said, something's at the truck. He heard it and I heard it both. But so what we did is we casually walked to the truck and just talked and whatever and acted like we never even heard it. Because there's, like I said, there's only one way out, one way in and one way out. And whatever it was standing in between us and that truck. And how we know it was at the truck is there was an audio recorder sitting on the truck. So, like I said, we got it in real time plus on audio. A lot of this stuff we do have on audio. And I don't know why that, like I said, we can be there 15, 20 minutes and there's something that happens, something that goes on, some kind of sign that we know that they're there. I think they had started there for a while recognizing us. I think you can tell her about the rock or whatever. But
Joe, what you laughing about?
Yeah.
Come on, Joe.
Oh,
up, Joe.
hell, I just laughing.
You don't just laugh, Joe.
One more than Parker get yourself in trouble deals going on. But anyway, we go and you can hear we got the audio out. I don't remember if it's sitting on the truck or maybe she may have put it out to leave it all night. We'd go after we wasn't camping, we'd go set it out. And then we'd go back the next day to pick it up. It might be noon before we got back, but we'd still go back and pick it up before it stayed out too long. And we'd get it, pick it up, and then we might wait a couple of days and do it again because it's a little piece from the house. Well, I get out there and I'm fishing, and I can hear my bait just a popping and doing this and that. And so we move around, and that thing, I just leave like one spot on the bank, move down another 20 foot, and all you hear is water go blow up, just whoosh, like a rock falling in, a pretty good sized rock. So I said, "You hear that?" She said, "Yeah, I hear it. What was that?" or something. And I said, "It's a rock." So where'd it come from? And I said something else, anyway, then she wants to go into this big spiel about putting out these marbles. I said, I don't think we need to put out them. Get in the truck. Let's go.
No, that is. Oh, no. He's going,
no,
all right, you can
I'm
have it. You can have it. He told me.
Yeah. I didn't let them have the fish. If I caught a fish, I'd left it on the bank for them. But it didn't. I didn't catch anything, but it wasn't happy. But that was the only time we ever had anything, and I never did see the rock hit, but you just hear it hit the water with a sploosh, like it's a rock about that big around or so. Yes. And I went and tried to recreate it by throwing stuff up in the air and let it fall in, or go. I was at a bridge on another place we was at, and dropping rocks off to try to mimic it and see what it was. And could it have been something else? I can't prove it a rock. I didn't go down there and get it, but I believe yet today I believe there's a rock on the bottom of that pond. It just ain't went out and got it yet. But we had that thing happen, and I said we had the recorder out the rest of the night. So Pat goes back through it. I'm going back to work or whatever. She starts going through this stuff. So you not only had that rock that sounded like a rock thrown in the water by you, you got all the other sounds coming in that night, different things coming up there, and it was an ongoing thing. We was very fortunate. We was at the right place at the right time. Just about every time we went down there last summer, we had something going on. Of course, it was a hell of a drought in the south last summer. It did have water, but it was losing it. I don't know what else it had there for them, but it had water. And by the end of the summer, the place is down. There ain't very many fish left in there. It was totally, really, really annihilated the food source. So we go back there this winter. After the first of the year, we went back up there and didn't have much. And the next thing you know, they burned it to the ground. Everything there was burnt completely up.
Is that a type of place that needs a controlled burn? Is there a lot of underbrush?
Yeah. We watched them when they did it, actually. We was there going to go out there and check out some stuff, and they were flying around in a helicopter, and they had the guys running around putting fire out by the road. That whole section was burnt. It wasn't just that one spot. They must have burnt 200 or 300 acres right there. I don't know how many, but it was a bunch. And then across the road from it, they went in there with these big choppers on front end loaders and chopped all the understory out of it. And all that, since that rain we had and stuff, all that's come back up and weeds, chest high, and different stuff. But they've done a lot of havoc in that one area to mess up the game and the wildlife and stuff. They just really done a lot of different stuff. So things push them out or whatever, I don't know. But they wasn't there like they was. Now, we hadn't made contact this summer with them, but we got to go back and do that too, see if they're still around here. We did move, and we did do a tree knock, and we had a little soft tree knock. It was like really, really soft come back. So we knew there was something in the area, but that was the last thing we had, and we hadn't had much since when we would go back. We need to go back.
Right.
And,
it's so hot here.
You just got to go out at night. Daytime's just unbearable hardly.
Right. When we get our activity over there, and like I said, it's within the first 15, 20 minutes of us being there, like right away we get it.
Mm-hmm. Always, right? If you're going to get something there, it was going to be there, just a little bit of you pulling up there. Unless you went too early in the day. The closer to dark, if you showed up, the more, right before you couldn't hardly see anymore, well, you was going to have something. If you rattled that trash can, they were going to give you something back, or you done anything around it, they was going to give you something back. And it was an ongoing thing for a while.
Yeah.
We could have been easily run out of there with screams and roars and all that, but it was a more laid back, subtle thing for us. I often wondered if I could have brought one of you guys with us, would they have done the same thing or not? I don't know. I was scared if I was to get somebody to go show them that they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't do all that.
Right. They seem to be. We don't have many vocals.
I'd be scared I'd waste your time to have you come with me, because they may not be active at all with different people, because people were going there enough to. They wasn't getting run out of like they could have been.
Right. We were getting. The thing is, the last time when we had the truck, when we were by the truck, that scared me because it blocked our exit, and
that's not, yeah.
And I don't like to get too far from the truck, and I make Joe carry something with him basically. if we're going to go too far. I'm more comfortable when he does that. But I'm a little bit, it made me a little bit more leery. Let me take back a little bit instead of moving forward like I was.
Get you back paying attention and not
Yeah.
being such at ease with the unknown.
Right. But but like I said, we have a lot of knocks and a lot of that goes on as soon as we leave. Like I said, we get a lot of activity right after, you know, so.
She wants to talk.
Okay.
This is for Joe. Joe, do you think that there are attracted to Miss Pat? I mean, she's just a lady full of grace and charm, and she has such a gentle nature to her. Stop. Just be nice and answer the question.
That could be, but I think on that particular bunch or whatever, it was us, the truck, the thing about going out there and just go fishing and not do anything.
Right.
We were better off not just be two old people out there fishing and shooting the breeze around the pond. What had happened also in the deal, like we first got to go out there, we were able to drive to the back of the pond on the west side where it'd be shaded in the evening time. Well, on the east side, the sun tears you up to almost dark because the trees are big. You got 15, 20 minutes of shade over there, but you don't have much. But the activity was better when later toward dark it got. I think they were aware of us and the truck and all that together. I mean, they didn't jerk Pat in the woods over her hair by no means. Yours maybe, but not hers. But I think they were. I don't know what it was, but it was like they were, you know, they wasn't worried about us a whole lot.
No, we weren't a threat to them. I don't believe.
Well, there was a ton of people. They would leave when we get there. We'd show up and people would be there. Then they still would come. That night, them people was making all that racket, running around in the boat in that pond, doing all that stuff. I don't think they got nothing out there, you know, scaring them and all. But later on, after they left, they finally started right back up. If I remember the audio, they started right back doing what they were doing.
Right.
Next time for sure.
Billy said they just follow you around, Joe, to see what you're going to do next.
Pretty much.
I agree. That's a good observation there, Billy. And Leanne asked, what's the scariest place you've ever been?
Hollins?
No, not for me.
Hollins.
The scariest I've probably ever been, and I can't prove this at all, but I went in the woods about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock one morning. I stayed in and then get up and go early. And it was toward the middle to the end of the season. So with nobody turkey hunting, it had gotten to be really hot and bad. I mean, the bugs was out, the leaves would come out and everything. So I went to a spot where we've had booger sign before, and we had turkey sign there before too. And I went down there in that place, and I set up a couple of times to no avail. So the wind was blowing pretty good up in the middle of the day. Well, hell, by the time I moved up a couple of times, it's gotten to be around dinner time. So I set up again up in a treetop, and it sounded like right over my head something whistled. So I'm thinking maybe that tree's rubbing on something up there. So I froze. I wasn't against the tree. I was sitting in a little ground chair thing you buy, and I wasn't up against the tree, but I got in a thick spot, and I sat down and I went to call a little bit, and then I got like a whistle above me, and it was just up above me. That's the way it sounded. And I froze. I didn't move. I said, I don't know what you are, but if that's what I think you are, that's something. So I was listening. When the tree blows, if you got something that's popping or whistling or something, it's going to do it over and over most of the time. Something pretty close. Well, whatever it was, it whistled real loud at first. Then it got a little lighter, and a little lighter, and a little lighter. and it was gone. I never heard it come in there, and I never heard it leave. And that tree was getting blowed the whole time above me up there. If they were rubbing or anything like that going on, it didn't. Uh, it never whistled again or made a sound that sounded like a whistle to my ears. And whatever it was, I don't know if it came in there on me, and I just didn't I wasn't aware of it, and they walked on up there till they seen me, and then they backed out. But I could put in a feed of one, and I've had them whistle before like that, but not that way. But I've had them whistle when I was hunting. It was definitely a different. It was definitely a different encounter. It may not be nothing to it, but I wouldn't have bet on it.
If anyone knows Gary, I think he left a chat. I think Gary Spikes might have read something I said wrong. That was not when I was talking to Air Force. That was not towards you, Gary. I hope you are still in chat, buddy. So if anyone knows Gary, just let him know. I was just him and actually it had nothing to okay, Gary. Had nothing to do with you. Air Force One can get pretty heated sometimes, but we're all family. Let's keep the chat friendly. He's very passionate. We've talked a couple of times about some
it's very
it's the way it comes off. So
yeah.
So I want to make sure Gary was still here. So question. Let's just go to a totally different subject. The friends you have met along the way, and we have talked about this. What are some of the best times that stand out, Pat and Joe? Because I've heard everybody in chat has been saying you guys are just a hoot to be around, and you just kind of bring life to the party, so to speak. What can we take from you about the people you've met along the way? Because as much negativity as there can be in the community, there's so many positive things. For example, the way you guys have met a lady with a Bigfoot channel, Lady in the Woods, brought a community together, and everyone in that chat formed a bond and a friendship like a family. And those are the positive things. And me and Mark Green were talking about this today. Those are the positive things. There's so much more than just Sasquatch in the community. There's the bonds you make, the friends you make, the experiences, the learning, the good food, the adventure.
Right, exactly. It's all about the adventure, and it's all about respect too. And
one of the most funniest guys or whatever we ran into in chat. And Cowboy was the first one. He's in there tonight, I believe.
Yes.
Cowboy's one of the first ones to really start talking with him. Was Michael Haywood. He's in the Carolinas too. He's from North Carolina. I don't know where he is compared to you, but he's always in chat. I don't know how much he's ever Bigfooted, but he's really a nice guy. He's got wit about him and all, and we stay in touch all the time. But it's people like that you meet in chat that it's phenomenal people, and they got a personality out of this world, and they're comical and the whole 9 yards. I try to keep things light, and sometimes it's a thin line from being funny to being a butt, and all these different things. You have to walk that line, and it could easily go bad just as it goes good. But they say it's a fine line from being a genius and an idiot too. But I mean, saying it's just part of my deal I bring to it.
Yeah.
I'm serious too at times, and we have to be really on our toes to keep somebody from getting hurt if we're in a place. But
just enjoy life.
If it's funny, it's funny. If it happens to me or her, it just. I was at the camp out and I done like a 360 in the chair, rolling over and over. Yeah. I told the guy I was trying to help me up. I said, "Just wait a minute. I don't even know where I'm at right now. I'm still rolling, in suspension here, but I'm on the ground, like I say, upside down in my chair." And everybody was laughing. I said, "Man, they missed a good photo opportunity." But they didn't get it because they
Right.
snoozed. You know,
I
they was worried
missed
about
it.
me being hurt, but nothing was really hurt. I really didn't get shook up by it. You old as we are, if you go in the woods, you're gonna trip and fall on something, or it's something
Yeah.
all the time. It's
I
just
do
the
it
way
regular.
is.
I do it regular. I
I
bet
mean,
that
I've been
mouth
walking
was
around
running.
the front yard. I hear her go laughing. I look back and she's gonna fail.
Oh no, you
What the
did.
heck? You know,
I'm always falling in the woods. He
all
said.
out there in the flower bed, come like start stumbling for about 5-10 foot, being in the flower bed when she ends up. What are you doing?
Joe Pass said, if you ain't have fun out squashing, you should just stay home.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly right.
I kept
Joe
Joe
Pass.
going. We picked and carried on about stuff when we got to go out together.
Mhm.
And I kept him rolling, you know, much as we can. And just like we'd be walking down the road, he'd be filming. I said, "Look at the women, let them go ahead and knock down all the spider webs, and then we'll come in behind them." And Joe,
thinking of-
and me and him would just be back there, like rattling on about that, laughing and all. And sure enough, it'd be this big old banana spiders. They'd be going down through the middle of them, knocking them down, and we'd be just going right behind them.
Right. Right.
Let them go. If they want to be that way, let them go. Ain't nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, that's why they were laughing when he fell in that chair.
They laughing.
You know? Right.
You know
That
what? Let
mouth
me
was
just.
running. That mouth was going just like that.
I was down.
as
I
he
wasn't
was
running
falling.
about
I'm sure.
that mouth, I got a little bit
All
of
I
that
heard
the other
from
night.
two
Oh
of
my
people
God.
there is what I missed it. That's all they was worried about. They'd love to see me fall.
I missed it. Yes,
That was one thing
exactly.
you said. Damn, I missed it.
Yeah.
That's the only time he ever shut his mouth, wasn't it? Let me see. Let me pick someone out of the chat and you just tell me a story. How about Gary Spikes?
Gary Spikes.
Yes, tell me a story of it.
He's funny.
Gary Spikes. Gary does a lot for the community.
Yes.
He does a lot for the. He's in a lot of chats. He moderates a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of hands-on for helping out when they do a get-together. Billy Schilling's the same way. And Billy's hands-on doing some stuff. Gary does his sticks, and he contributes back to the good of the outfit to help with funds and stuff. They hands-on helping load and unload, and
Yes.
they go to a lot of trouble, go many miles, you know, to outings and doing their thing. And you know, we don't get to go enough because we're a long ways apart, all of us. But
all right, Joe Pat. Oh no, that started out bad.
Oh,
What do you say?
Joe Pass. No, give us the beans on Joe Pass.
Story about Joe Pass. Oh my goodness. Oh, the time he lost his wallet.
Oh yeah, that's what we went to. Joe Pass was supposed to speak. Him and his buddy there, Kenny, was going to speak. Ralph O'Bardin was going to speak. Wayne with Mandible Research was going to speak, and his other buddy, Mr. Wrestling number 2, he was going to speak. And so they all spoke. Another one we didn't mention in that bunch that you may have heard of and may have not is Connor Flynn. He's in Bigfoot everywhere. He's in movies. He's in all kind of stuff. He's a young guy. He has his own agenda. He's just everywhere with different stuff. And he's always doing something or another. It could be outings. It could be speaking at conventions. It could be lost in space. Who knows? Flat Earth, whatever. It could be anything for him. But that was another guy we met up there. But Joe Pass.
He lost that up on the mountain, we thought.
So Joe Pass, he gets off with Mogs, Mongolian Monster. Him and all them go up on the mountain to walk a trail. So Joe comes back, can't find his wallet. Well, it's a big search for Joe's wallet. I don't know Joe that well at the time, so I wouldn't go through his sleeping bag or something. I figured he thrown it in there on the sleeping bag and it got covered up or something, and it probably was lost in the tent. Well, anyway, come down to it, we all went around there, and looking and messing around and all. So Flat Rock asked him or whatever they were. Flat Rock talked to him, and Flat Rock gonna give him or did give him some money. If he couldn't come up with the stuff, he had to give him some going home money so he could make it home. Well, the last night we was gonna be there, we had everybody but Bud and Angie came to. When I say everybody, we had several of them come down to our tent, cook shed, cook tent, and we cooked for them. And Joe and his buddy came, and Flat Rock was there, and Jody was there. We all came down there, and they came down to us, and still think Kitty did it. I don't know, Joe, but anyway, Joe's down there. Me and him down there talking, and we're still talking about him losing his wallet, and we're gonna go back and try to find his wallet. He's gonna give Connor some money to go get it, and all this, that, and the other if he finds it. Well, come to find out, Joe's already found his wallet, and Flat Rock did offer to give him $200 to get back home on. That's how they knew each other before we knew each other, and so I don't know how I bet him. Anyway, he was gonna bet. Me and him was gonna bet, but he already had his wallet back. It was something to do with the wallet, and he had already got his wallet back, and it was just a big rigmarole. He's all laughing, carrying on about it, and so he was good, and he got out of there with his wallet. Well, that night it come a flood, so everybody had to leave. This is just part of what happened. It was a good little get together. It was it was down in the valley where they had running rapid water and stuff, and it was a good little get together. And we had a good little. Quite a few people showed up. They having another one coming up here pretty soon.
Did you have any?
It was a good little outing. And Joe Pass is just full of mess as there ever been one too.
He got flooded out.
Yeah, his tent got flooded, and him and Kenny got up and left during the night going home.
I wouldn't go get his wallet on the mountain because it was scary going up and down there. And I made some kind of crude comments that they laugh about.
The question is, Joe, did they serve tater salad?
Frankenstein Joe Pass and his wallet. That's what it was.
Frankenstein Joe Pass and his wallet.
Yeah, that's what she said. She was so terrified about going up a little logging road on behind the camp, went up in the mountains. And it was like bluff drop-offs and stuff on each side of it or one side or the other.
It's called Frog Mountain is what it's called in Tennessee.
She wasn't having none of this going on the mountain for Joe's wallet. It was like...
Poor Joe.
It wasn't nothing poor about Joe. Joe's full of mess. That's just...
No, poor Joe.
There's no poor Joe.
No.
Me, I don't know about that. Yeah, I had to deal with that. One time, I'm going to tell this quick story. We went up on, what's that place in Alabama? What's that mountain in Alabama we went over there?
I got Joe started, y'all. I'm sorry.
Hang on.
All right. No, you hang on. My question was, did they serve tater salad?
Yeah. Did they serve tater salad? They serve potato salad?
Not a doubt, I don't remember.
Yeah, you love potato salad.
But she, them girls done all that stuff on me. They poured all kind of mess on me.
You probably deserved it, Joe.
They were ganging up against me the whole time I was going to Falk. But Falk's an open place. It's a big place with lots of places to venture.
Creepy mountain, yeah.
I've never been on a creepy mountain.
Been by it.
Yeah, I've been by it. Probably got creeped by the mountain, but I ain't been on creepy mountain.
Joe, you were about to
Hollins. We didn't even talk about Hollins, and I know you probably remember.
Well, Joe, you were about to tell a story, and I interrupted you. Lord, I see the smoke coming out of his ears.
It's fine. We'll talk about Hollins. Hollins was fun. That's where we were at last time. We were out there. Mark Green? Well, he's thinking Mark Green and
it was like a
and
Thursday,
Rebecca.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, left Monday or something like that.
Yeah, Mark Green. Yes, we left on Monday. Yes, we were there for like 3 days or something.
Yeah, we came. But, well, it was some people there. It was sorry.
No,
There's a light group there for Thursday. Then it picked up on Friday, then Saturday, and then everybody left Sunday. So we stayed Sunday night too, and just to try to get a little extra time in. We didn't have nowhere we had to be or nothing. So
We stayed by ourselves.
It was an interesting trip. A lot of stuff. We met good friends, new friends. Had different things happen. Had some good audio.
Yeah. When we got there at Holland's, it was hosted by Rebecca and Mark Green. And we have been there. This is our third time camping there. So we've camped there a few times. And like I said, I've got past recordings from the area. And that's also where Flat Rock put up that they were watching through a thermal something by our camper. And Joe also had something around the camper the one time that he had walked outside.
That was the same weekend.
Yeah, that scurried off that time.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that either. Behind Flat Rock's house was one time that I went down there to get away from the girls to do something. And when I'm walking down there, the trees and limbs and grass and stuff just shaking like something took off running. But I should have been able to see what it was, but I couldn't see it at all. But it was right in line, looking up under our canopy on our trailer, like something been sitting there looking at people around that trailer. And it was in the middle of the afternoon. I mean, it was plenty broad daylight. But whatever it was, took off running kind of an angle in behind Flat Rock's house down in that bottom. And I should have been able to see it, but I couldn't see what it was. And then I went to our camper trailer. It was backed up against the woods at might be the same. No, it's a different time. And something took off from the camper in the edge of the woods, and I never could see it either.
That was at Holland's.
But
this last time, there was Paul. Mm-hmm. That's Wendell in the chat that's prospecting.
And
Jeff.
Justin,
and Joe and I were the only. That's all that was there, correct? Yes.
Yeah, Mark had gone back home.
Mark had come in, helped us set up a little bit, and he had left. Okay, there was just us there. We got there at dark. We all sat outside by our camper, and I fixed us a little bite to eat. And then Paul left at 12:30. We sat around and talked. He tell them about Justin's all Justin's instruments.
He had a bunch of different kind of calls. He had a whole bag of stuff. And
death whistle.
He got there in death whistle, Indian death whistle. He blowed that. A panther scream, something like that. He blowed that. He had something else he could make something like a coyote sound with. And I can't remember what all else.
A didgeridoo. He had a bull roar.
He had one of them dickory-doo things too, like you said. A bull roar. He didn't do the tom-tom thing he had, but he had one of them too. And he did do a presentation at a different, like the Friday night he done a presentation with everything he had. And
it was just us.
And but just a few of us there, so he was able to do that for us.
Right. We did that, and Paul left at like 12:30. Well, we stayed up till we did get some coyotes, and a bird. What a whippoorwill come in close. Nothing real big. Nothing big. But we all went to bed like at 2:30. I had a recorder sitting out. And at this time, it was just Wendell and Justin and Joe and I. And there's Wendell right there. He was just down from us. And he had played all this stuff. Well, right before he went to bed, I could hear on my audio. What I did is I put a recorder. I moved the recorder from my grill that was up against the camper over to the chair, and I could hear on the recorder that he was playing his little drums and stuff. What he does is that I think it's Holy Week or something with his religion, and he was doing that before and doing a little prayer before he went to bed. Well, and on the recorder, I have something tapping on the grill, which was butted up next to the camper that was sitting there tapping on the grill. And also that I kept getting pebbles that were being tossed and hitting the camper what have you, right at the camper too. You think you go out and you'd find all these pebbles. You don't. You don't find them. I don't know what that deal is. Did hear some walking, and also some I put a ball out. Hand me the ball. Hand me the ball. This is a little toy that I have.
Yeah.
Okay. And this one glows in the dark. I did put that out, and I got movement off of that on my recorder as well. And
Sound like he walked on the rug we got and moved that thing. That's far.
yeah. And what was interesting on the recorder now, I got a whistle. This time it was with pursed lips, not through their teeth. And it was right at the camper that it did the whistle. And it sounded human. I did get that. There, like I said, they all know, Wendell knows, there was no one in there. There was absolutely no one in there. It butts up next to the Talladega National Forest. And I forgot how many acres. Mark Green knows how many acres that place is
The
as
Holland
well.
is just a
The
little,
Hollands.
a little part of it.
Yeah, because it's a hunter's camp is what it is. And it's all dry camping. And I got those noises. But at 4:00 in the morning, on my recorder, I started getting these wails. And you've heard it. And they are creepy. Justin had a recorder out, and he has them as well. I did have them analyzed by David Hollis. Did look at them, and it's undetermined what it is. He said that it's very, very suspicious. The only thing he can contribute it to is a bovine, which is a cow, but it isn't even that. He had recommended that we go back there and try and get some other stuff. But what we did is we had other stuff on the recording. He just doesn't know that. Tom Cantrell has listened to it also, and he said it's definitely a booger, is what he has to say about it. I don't know. It's just a recording, but it's different. It's a very unusual recording. And it was off and on. It went off and on for like an hour. It stayed in the same place, which was very odd. Now on Justin's recorder, he was a bit closer. And so there's a little bit of a yip in the beginning of it. So we all question what it is. We don't know.
Never
But
been.
you know the sounds. You know your surrounding sounds.
Right.
You know what's out there and what's not normal to your environment.
You heard it. It's different.
That is very different. I want to say something about that ball, especially glow in the dark. That ball, when I was a canine officer, my canine loved that ball. That ball will also kick in a prey drive for an animal. It will kick in a prey drive, and
good point.
That is actually an excellent tool to use out there.
Good point. I don't gift food or anything like that. I have some marbles. I have some stuff from like that.
I can't eat it. They can't eat it.
Right. Chris Reinhardt sent me. He sends me little trinkets of things like off the fridge. Down there in Miami, South Florida. He sent me something from Snow White Bigfoot that she has on her place. And some different things like that. And I have the blue marbles. I put that kind of stuff out. I haven't put it out a lot. But Joe had some stuff go on at Holland's too. I just basically am touching on the recorder. I also, and then I'll let him speak. Jody and I decided to go up on the hill. Everybody had come, which we found this really odd. Jody and I went up on the hill up there, and what there is a food plot up there at the very top. Is there two? Okay. And they supposedly, I don't know, a hunter was killed up there or whatever.
Oh.
Dismembered.
Wait. Let's wait. You just said that so nonchalantly. What what's the deal with this? What's the
Uh,
backstory?
I tell you what you do. Ask Mark Green about it. That's really his
Yes.
thing, and he could tell you more what the paper report or the whatever. It happened several years ago, but they got a report of it, and that's the folklore or the lure to the hunters camp.
And it was proven. It's on paper.
Yes.
Do it now?
Yes.
It was
Proven on
proven.
paper.
It's on paper.
I,
Wow.
Somebody supposedly found it in an old archive somewhere.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't come out and say no more than it was like dismembered.
He knows more about it than we
But
do.
ask him about it. That's his baby, and that would really be something good that y'all can talk about.
Yeah, and it also
Not that that's good, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, the first time we went there too is there was an abandoned tent that had all the supplies in it. He can go on that as well. He can elaborate because he did some investigating on that. But Jody and I decided to work off a little bit of food, and I have never been to the very top of where these food plots are, and you have to go up through kind of the middle of the forest. It's kind of creepy up there to walk up there.
Dark canopy.
Yeah, very dark canopy. And Jody and I decided we were going to go up there. She was up there the day before, and she had went up there by herself, and Joe and somebody else went looking for her and read her the riot act for wandering off by herself like she tends to do. And but we were together. That was the difference.
I had the old setting hen on her all the way back down.
And so anyways, both of us decided, we went up there, both of us. And we walked all the way to the top. And we decided that, see if we could stir something up. So what we did is we hollered out at them. We did some different things. There was a lot of people down camp. You know, Roger and everybody had come to visit. And so I just wanted to see if we could fire something up. So wow. I was basically, calling out to them, come on and walk down with us. You can hang out with us and blah, 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 blah. Hey, where are you at? I see you in there. And, we heard some noises and things like that. And then she said, hey, Pat, it's kind of, I'm a little bit afraid to have something. I don't want something following us all the way back down. I said, well, I'll tell you what, you can walk down with us, but you have to stop at the gate. And that was like the end of it. Like I said, I just tried to stir something up all the way down. And we were going to go off trail, and we thought we better not, that we stay in enough trouble together. And we decided we better not. And it was kind of later in the evening too. We had no more got back down there. And another gentleman that Mark could tell you this same story too, had walked over and was going to use the restroom right there. It wasn't far from the gate there. It was basically runs along there. It runs along there.
The gate is the main access to go up on the 2 food plots, right, to keep the people from driving up there. And when you get to the end of that hunters camp, it's a little circle to get out of there without having to back up, turn around. You got a little pear-shaped circle on the end that you can drive all the way around and come straight back out. And it's just a little dirt road. It ain't much to it, but at least get you out of there without having to turn around.
Yeah, but anyways, when he walked up there, something growled at him.
Oh.
And at that same time, right there at the woods. And Roger, they'll tell you, Roger was walking around. He has it, and anybody can see it. Some have seen it. I know that's in this chat. He was recording. He was doing a video recording. And all of a sudden, there was some howls and stuff. He took off over there and everything, and there was some howls, and they were all right there. We had just come back off of there. So I don't know. you know, if we stirred something up, but there was something around there. So obviously there was something around there when we were there. We weren't the only ones that experienced any kind of audio or any sounds while we're there. And Joe and Mark Green had some stuff happen, and you had the tapping.
Yeah, I went back early to or early. It was not early, but it was about midnight. Went back to retire to the RV to take a little nap. And as soon as I lay down, I hear something on the side of it going, just very light tapping. And it quit. And then, I mean, I just got there. There was nobody. Now, I did look back over there like we talked about earlier, and I thought I seen something running around the trailer or like a glimpse of something. And I'm thinking, well, what did I see? And I did go over there too. I forgot to tell you this. I went Saturday night. They brought some guys came in, brought the food. They had extra water. They had this and that because we had a big eating and all. So I got the water from them, and I was going to pour it in the trailer. Well, when I was over pouring that water in that trailer, it was after dark at night. Something ran through just past the trailer. Sounded like ran through camp, like galloped right through the trailer, right there by the trailer. My back was turned to it. I couldn't see it, but that's what it sounded like. Something just like ran across the two roads. The trailer was like at the very start of that turnaround, and it was like the road split right there where we parked the trailer. Well, we parked it up in the edge of the wood line, and something ran across there. Then later on, Mark Green said he thought he seen something down there messing around that trailer. We were all back up at the fire and around the food tables, and we were doing all that stuff. And our trailer was lit up under the awning, so it was lit up around there a little bit. And it was on down like 50, 75 yards from the fire area. And so he thought he seen something down there run across or was running around the trailer. And I looked back and I thought I seen something too, but it's like, did I see anything? You know, I couldn't. It's one of the things just like in your peripherals, and you can't really tell what you see. And just like, did I really see something or didn't I? So I can't really say much about what for sure was there. Or did I imagine something? I can't tell you.
So you guys had a lot of activity, but when you put it together, it's like a puzzle that fits together.
Right. That's like getting all of us together telling these what happened to Holly when you was there. It ain't just my story. Pat has something, and then the rest of the guys have got stuff too that you know when they woke up something out of they heard something, and then the next guy may have something.
Yeah, exactly. It all fits together.
But the recordings do help a lot.
So you, someone in the chat said you have not talked about, and we'll do this, then we'll wrap it up because we've been going on 2.5 hours.
Ooh.
You saw a juvenile Bigfoot. Don't time fly when you have good conversation with good people.
Oh, yes, it does.
They mentioned a juvenile Bigfoot someone saw.
What she said?
The juvenile Bigfoot that someone saw. The only thing I can say is they're probably talking about Falk, Arkansas, when I was there and they were running through the camp, that we believe that they were juveniles because they were running through the camp so fast and they were pushing the tents down, my tent down as they were running through. And we did camp at Alex Smith Park, and we camped right there along where the bridge was. Actually,
Western Ohio. That's my buddy.
We're going to drive down there. We was right down there when you come around by the dock, and we was on the hill right there in that corner where everybody has Bigfoot stuff going on. That's where we was at. And everybody camps down there that knows anything about them.
Right.
But
I'm going to tell my husband to take me out there.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Right now it's too hot, though. But that's
what did you say, Joe? Did you say and leave me?
And leave you. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Let me tell you something about that place. You've worked out
Joe.
It might be a booger place, but it's also a good place for every other riffraff to come around there too.
Mm-hmm.
All night long, some nights with people in and out of there. It's a peculiar place.
Yes, it
don't
is.
mean there ain't boogers there because we heard them. We went back another time and we heard
House.
howl against the lady whooped at them. We heard her whoop back. As far as we know, it wasn't nobody doing it, but I mean, it came right back to us. We was looking around that evening right at dark, and she was staying with us, and so we made a little round in the truck. She got out and done a little whoop, and then whooped right back to her. And then
Right.
some coyotes down the road or over the way there started cutting up. But Falk's got lots of area that you don't realize it's got because it's so scattered out.
That's
That little Smith Park is just one little bitty spot with some couple lakes in there, and the Sulphur River runs through there. They got a boat launch down there on the Sulphur River. They got places where you can slide a little boat off into the lake right there at Smith Park. It's got a lot of little stuff going on, but Falk, Arkansas, Swamp Bottom, and all that stuff goes for long ways.
And
Wow.
Miles and miles in there too.
That's where we met Mark and Rebecca.
First time we met them
In
was
2019, they had a camp out there, and we met out there. That was our first camp out together that we chose to go somewhere.
Crabtree, that's his little stomping ground for.
Right.
It was in the
movie.
The movie Boggy Creek.
Yeah, he was the monster in the movie. I think it's his uncle or something. That's what it's about, his family. But the thing is like, you want to wrap this up and stuff. The thing is
that's fine. I want you to go. He was yawning a while ago. That's why I was just elbow him.
I've been yawning the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck.
Oh yeah,
You put me to sleep too, Joe.
I want to tell you
moving on.
the story I was wanting to tell you a while ago. I'm going to throw it in here right quick.
Okay. Yes,
We
sir.
went up on the biggest mountain in one of these midnight trips that we did. We went up on the biggest mountain in Alabama. They got a park up there and all kind of stuff.
Cheehaw.
And they got a switchback road going up on this mountain. So we're following Mark Green and Rebecca going up there. So Pat's just scared to death about this road because it's switchbacking back and forth and all. And I don't know it, but at this time, instead of my mile per hour reading miles per hour, it's reading kilometers. So it says, instead of saying 40, it's saying 70. And she keeps hollering, slow down the whole time because she's freaking out about it. And I said, I never dawned on me what the hell the problem was, but this little switch on the steering column, on the steering wheel that swaps that back and forth, and somehow I had hit it. So she thought we was like driving extremely fast going up this mountain road that she wasn't comfortable driving hardly, really slow on, and she was losing her mind about this deal.
Oh yeah. Well,
it was.
When you see the tops of the trees, it's mountains all up in there.
We're from down here in Louisiana. We don't have anything like that. It's a lot different. Alabama's got a lot of different contour.
Mark, nope.
And if you ever got to go up on that mountain, it has a lodge up there, all kind of meeting centers, RV places to park. They got one of the best Bigfoot oriented gift shops that you ever want to see, with all kind of stuff like that up there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But we recently had a report here as well. That tell her real quick, and then we got to.
Well, it came in this week,
fine.
and a lot of people was making light of it, but some kind of way, some people from South Louisiana or North Louisiana, I don't know where, but anyway, they went out to our nature wilderness area where it's only walk-in type, and they got like 10 miles or 12 or miles you can make a big hike and come out. Well, they was going down there, and they went down in there about, I don't know how far it was, but they throwed up a camp, and it was a bunch of kids, like for graduation, they done this trip up here, which is beyond me why I'd go out when it's this hot. Anyway, what was said was they had like a creature 5 foot tall with red eyes and was growling at them, and they had to call. I think they called the sheriff's department to walk in there and escort them out because they were scared to death.
Wow.
There's
And
been
that
some
happened
stuff on it.
So
this
we
week.
had at least 2 Bigfoot researchers went in there looking around, and supposedly they got growled at too.
Yeah.
So we hadn't. It's off the trail a good ways. It's on the trail, but it's walking only. So it's a good ways to be out there off the main road. It's in the forestry anyway, and it's nobody hardly. It's either campers or a lot of people go in the spring and the fall in there, and they do they do primitive camping overnight with hammocks and stuff. And this was reported. Of course, they blew it off as something else.
Of course.
I don't know if they said it was a bear or it was something else. I don't know, but this could be the latest possible something that's happened out there that was told to anybody. Was this? It came up on Facebook this last couple of weeks. I may have reposted it on my personal Facebook site, and Miss Pat may have reposted it too. I don't know, but just read it under Kisatchie National Forest. Sheriff's office had put it on their site too, but they were called in to escort those kids out.
Yeah.
And,
To get escorted out says something.
Yeah.
To wait for someone to come and escort you out says something to me.
You would thought they would just got their stuff and ease back out of there or whatever, but you don't know what they've seen. That was reported that way. I don't know to say much about it, but
there's been
question for the chat. Have you ever seen a bear with red eyes shine? Because I dealt with black bears, and I've never seen a red eye shine in black bears.
That was my question.
I could be wrong.
I hear you with that.
Be wrong.
What color do you normally see that?
It's normally like a blue-green to me.
Now, we seen deer eye shine the other night, and the closest thing come to that like a coon she had shine right before the game warden got on us. But anyway, she had spotted a coon down low with a flashlight because we was going in a primitive road, and we seen deer, we seen an alligator. Alligator has abrupt red eye shine too.
Yeah.
But I'm like you, I don't really know about bears. If you tell me they don't have red eye shine.
Well, David's a hunter, and he said he's never seen a bear with red eye shine.
And I don't remember no hog having no abundance of red eye shine either.
Just a hog. I'd rather deal with a bear than a hog. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Joe, I cut you off.
I'd be there to tell you whether I'd hike out or stay with it. I'd have to be there but I've been around this little circle where these people got up at Holland where they got growled at. I've been around that circle looking for walking sticks and looking. I put out feathers around there just to see what would happen. And I didn't have anything that I heard do anything with me. And I'd been around there walking around all them days. I probably went around there two or three times. And I never had nothing. But I don't mean he didn't have nothing. I'm just saying I didn't.
Wow.
Right.
So that's been an incredible chat. Do you guys have any questions right quick for Pat and Joe?
Do you have a way? I'm gonna ask you a question right quick. Do you have a way like to do super chat or anything like that?
I have no idea how to do that. I think you have to get so many subscribers before you can do that. I don't think I'm there.
Yes, you do.
You might get these people give you $5 a piece for your monitor because you're going out. if you had a way to get
Joe, you gave me the pure deal. I told you bills come first. Jeez. I told you
I
bills
ain't
come
paying no hairdo. I ain't paying for no hairdo.
Oh.
my beauty lady is just awesome, and she puts up with my mouth, so I love her.
You go out like our electricity does for no reason at all around here.
Yeah. But it was great. It was fun.
Hey, they got
Joe.
you might ought to look into. They're called cheaters. You might ought to get you some of them bad boys.
Oh,
I see the way
Joe,
you are
yes.
squinting all to be done. You can't
Okay.
see.
I'm trying to understand you, Joe. That's what it is.
Right. It takes a little bit, doesn't it?
Takes a miracle.
Right. But thank you
But,
so much for having
but
us.
I absolutely love you. You guys have a standing invitation. There's so much more about your experience that it's hard to get serious after Joe. Okay.
Right.
Just,
Well, it is. It's distracting.
you guys have so much to talk about, and we just didn't even hit on half of it. You have a
No.
standing invitation to come back anytime you want to. And Pat, I just love you. I love your beauty, your grace, and the way you tell a story. And Joe, you're just Joe.
He's just, yeah, I know it. This is what they all say. Joe is just
Joe
Joe.
is Joe.
The thing is, please don't take yourself so serious. When you go out and go to these campouts, have fun and meet the people.
Camping is nothing more than regular camping with just one more little thing added to it.
Patrick,
what
Love
it
you
is.
too, Pat.
I do too, Patrick.
People get so worked up because it's Bigfoot camping. Man, it's no different than an RV club where you just going RVing, or if you tent camping, you just add one more thing to it to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you like walking around the woods anyway, hiking and all that, you're doing Bigfooting already and don't even know it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think they're all warm and fuzzy. I think some of them will take your heads off.
Sure they will. Sure they will.
I trust them like I do a horse. I already told you that.
Yes.
Or
Let's see.
as far as that goes.
I am going to watch Cedar Creek Homestead Farm Life. I absolutely am. And I talked to Mark today, and I'm definitely going to go check that out. And
she's barely got electricity, folks. Don't believe that.
You barely got brains, you little kid.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Don't be heckling the customers.
Joe.
I want to shout out to all the women too that go out and not only scare off boogers during the day underneath the beds for
when
the
you
kids.
go backstage, keep us back here for a minute. We talk to you.
But you know what, Joe? I'm gonna send her some Valium to put in your food so she can get some peace from you.
Oh, I don't pay any attention to him. I check
Don't
him.
bother her.
I know what to do.
I'm just
put him in timeout or put him in that kitchen with an apron on him.
Are we still live? What are you talking about?
Yes, we are still live.
Yes, we're still live.
We're still live.
What did you say? Be yourself, be this, be that, be funny.
I regret what I said.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, so at the end of each show, and this is serious, Joe, just give me a minute. Just
You want it now? Okay.
Okay. So at the end of each show, I'd like to give some people the time to pay tribute to anyone they want. Is there someone you guys would like to pay tribute to?
I'm going to go ahead and pay tribute to Mark Green for his support. Mark Green and Chris Reinhardt for their support, their ear, all their advice that they give, and and the wonderful hospitality that they have, and for everyone. They're good people.
You know what, Joe? Hang
on. I like to give tribute to a couple people. Joe Pass is one of them. He brought us into his world and the Bigfoot world, and we was able to get out and meet some folks through wanting to meet Joe. Actually, we met lots of friends through getting out our first outing we went to, and at Thunder Rock, and it was a unique outing, a unique place. We got to travel around a little bit and it was good meeting Joe and all the guys up there, all our friends since then. That's what I was saying about meeting Flat Rock, being around his company. The man's a gem to have. He's been through all kind of stuff. Uh, be blessed that you got him in here to do it. To have Flat Rock, us with him, not him with us, but us with him. Uh, that's all I got to really say right now.
Well, I think you both are awesome. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I think all of you have. The chat is what makes the show because without the chat, having a good chat makes the guests feel comfortable. Joe, he's going to feel comfortable anywhere. But I thank you for the respect you give the chat to the guests. I thank you for the support that you give to the show. If you do know someone that has a story to tell, as I said earlier, I am trying to get back to the basics where I want to tell the story behind the story for people to get to know the people behind the experience, behind the research. If you know someone that would be a good candidate, if you think you would be a good candidate, please email me, reach out to me on Facebook because I love telling people's stories. And I want to thank all of you, Pat and Joe.
Thank you.
I love
Thank
you
you all
guys.
in
You're
chat.
awesome.
Thank
And
you
I'll
all.
see you backstage. And that's for Pat, not you, Joe.
There you go. There you go.
All right. You guys have a wonderful evening.